Hello, hello. Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? I don't know if anybody's out there because the chat is barely moving, guys. Everybody say where you're from in the chat right now. Let's all say hi to each other, and let's get started with another emergency live briefing on the upcoming major hurricane that will make landfall in Louisiana tomorrow. Okay, that's what we are talking about today. Once again, Hurricane Ida. We've got it covered from literally every angle over here on the Ryan Hall Y'all YouTube channel. If you don't have access to otherwise adequate coverage to this, for this storm, I think that this is definitely a good place for you to come. I set this up in a way to where I think that we're going to be able to reach a lot of people tomorrow, especially the people who need to see it the most. Okay, so thank you guys. I see Georgia. We've got Asheville, North Carolina, Delaware in here. We've got Ohio, Western Kentucky. Louisiana, Mississippi, once again, Texas, Virginia, Missouri, Pennsylvania. We've got a lot of people from a lot of different places in here, guys. Thank you so much for joining on this live stream. Once again, we do have this covered from every single angle today, and we're going to try to cover everything as in-depth as possible. But just like yesterday, I'm going to treat this video sort of like a traditional YouTube video. Okay, so we're not here just to monitor the conditions with Hurricane Ida. We are going to actually go through and just completely, dig into this storm on the models and all the latest updates from the National Hurricane Center and all that stuff like that. Okay, so bear with me if I'm not really interactive in the chat. For the first little bit, because I'm just going to be reading off all kinds of information, going over the model data, and going over the forecast. That's what I'm here for, okay? I'm going to do that a couple times because usually the way this works, we've got 1,000 people in here already. There'll be thousands of people that come in and out of the stream, and then by the time an hour has passed and I've went through the forecast once and talked about everything once, we've got a whole new subset of people in here. So I'll go over it again, and then at the end of that, we'll do some sort of a question and answer period, and then maybe we will just monitor the satellite imagery and everything for a little while as we watch Hurricane Ida continue to rapidly intensify. Now, okay, I am going to be ending this stream at around 8 o'clock p.m. But Remember this, tomorrow I will be starting my stream probably around noon, sometime around noon more than likely, and then I'm going to be streaming probably for 12 to 15 hours beyond that until the storm makes landfall, and we have pretty much depicted all of the impacts that it will have on the Louisiana coastline, and also a little bit inland there towards New Orleans, all the way up towards Baton Rouge and those places. So if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. That way, whenever that live stream starts tomorrow, you will get a push notification as soon as it goes up. Additionally, if you haven't already, please share this on Facebook, share this on Twitter, share this wherever you want to share it, especially if you know somebody in the affected area. Just send them, if you don't have social media, I don't blame you. Just send them a text message on your phone there with the link to this live stream, because we're getting ready to do some very in-depth coverage here on Hurricane Ida as it continues to grow. Southern Soul family, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. He says, will you be keeping track of the plane that's on its way out now? Also, this $5 is for your little bean. He is really going to appreciate that. And yes, we're going to be keeping up with live reconnaissance data. We've got hurricane hunters flying into the hurricane right now from multiple different angles. We got a plane that just took off from Texas. We had one that just took off not too long ago from Florida. They're both going to fly into the hurricane, and they're going to give us a bunch of information, some vital information that I will be relaying to you in real time here as we continue to look at all this stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to the radar view. This is what Hurricane Ida looks like right now on satellite. Okay, so it looks like a hurricane now. Okay, it did not look like a hurricane yesterday. It looked more like a blob. Now you can see that rapid rotation around the center of circulation there, and you can see a very clear and pretty much well-defined eye wall right now as this storm is pretty much barreling down towards New Orleans. I don't know if it's just me or not. I'm kind of iffy on whether or not I should say this, but because maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. I spent a lot of time today looking at things other than the weather, so my eyes haven't been glued on the satellite all day. But it looks to me like this thing might be going a little bit further north and a little bit further east than what a lot of the models were originally showing. Okay, this almost looks to me like it's going directly towards New Orleans. I'm not 100% certain if that's what's going to happen just yet. We're going to look at all the model data right here in a second, but this definitely looks a little different to me than what we were supposed to see according to all the models that we looked at yesterday. So this is the thing with these tropical systems, man. The littlest wobble, okay, can completely change the track of this storm. And that's why it's important to, instead of forecast hurricanes when they get close to land, you now cast them. And that's why I'm doing this live stream, and I'll be doing the live stream tomorrow. It's almost pointless to put together a forecast video show in the morning and be like, yep, that's what's going to happen today, and then, leave you alone, because so many things are going to change throughout the day, pretty much minute by minute, that it's important to relay that data live. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here, and just a general observation here. I think that this is actually a little bit further north and a little bit further east than what we originally projected. And another thing that I've noticed is it's going a little bit faster. Okay, this thing is jogging off to the north and west, and that's actually a good thing. Okay, so it's getting ready to get into the most favorable waters for convective activity here in the next couple of hours, and the least amount of time that it can spend over those waters, the more it will not intensify. Hold on, let me think about how to talk again for a second. The least time that it spends, the less time that it spends over that high octane area of the Gulf of Mexico, the less likely it is that we will see a Category 5, okay? So, if this thing, speeds up and it keeps going like close to 20 miles an hour over this, and then it doesn't slow down until it gets way closer to land, we may be only dealing with the Category 3 or Category 4 storm that the National Hurricane Center has been, going on about for a little while. However, if we notice that this storm starts to slow down this evening, and it, some of the forecast models continue to suggest that that's what's going to happen, and it spends a decent amount of time over this very deep and rich and warm layer of the Gulf of Mexico, then I still don't see any reason why we shouldn't expect this thing to end up being a high-end Category 4 or possibly even still a Category 5 storm as this continues to move off towards Louisiana. Okay, remember, it's this area right here that the storm is getting ready to get into that is it's really warm, 85 to 90 degree surface temperatures on the sea level there. But you got to remember too that this is part of it's one of the deeper areas in the Gulf of Mexico, and so far this summer and this spring, this part of the Gulf of Mexico hasn't had a whole lot of big storms go over it. So just literally since the beginning of spring and summer, the sun has been baking and cooking this area of the Gulf of Mexico, and literally 60 feet, 70 feet under the surface, the water is still incredibly warm. So a lot of times what happens with hurricanes, especially when they're this big, this is a big storm, all this cloud cover and rainfall would generally, kind of cool off the water there on the surface of the sea before the center of circulation got to it. However, in this situation, whenever it goes over this high octane, the Gulf Loop here, just to the north and west of the eye wall there, we are not going to see much, cooling off of the water at all, because even if that does happen, we will see the warmer waters immediately rise up and replenish the fuel that this storm needs as we go forward. So that's what we're looking at right there on the satellite. I wanted to show you something else that we've got access to. Is Radar Omega. Okay, so this is another really unique view of the satellite imagery. We're actually looking at it in 3D here. Okay, so we can look at it from pretty much every angle, and as you can see, those clouds around the center of circulation, around that eye wall, are extremely elevated. We have what we call hot towers popping up and then wrapping around the center of circulation, and that's the number one thing that you look for when you look for, rapid intensification or bombogenesis happening within the storm. And that's definitely what's happening here. Let's zoom in on the eye wall here. We go on top of it. You can see that we have a really well-defined eye now. This is crazy. Technology these days is crazy, man. It's absolutely insane that I can look at and dissect this storm as in depth as I am right now, and I'm in my bedroom. Like, this is absolutely crazy. But you can see that the center eye wall is really clearing out, but all of these really tall clouds are forming around the center there, and those are very strong convective thunderstorms that are popping up. And the more of those that pop up, and the more successfully they wrap around that center of circulation, the stronger this storm is going to become. And it looks to me like it's having no problem at all wrapping around right now. So I think we are, going to watch this thing probably during this live stream strengthen significantly. So make sure if you're in Louisiana, you're ready for this. If you look out your window right now towards the southeast, you're probably going to see some dark clouds, but it won't be representative of what's actually happening out there, okay? So I really want everybody to take this seriously. We have a lot of storms every year, and a lot of times we have some big storms every year, and you've probably heard over and over again, oh, we'll take this one seriously, take this one seriously. But this is the one, if you've never taken one seriously before, this is the one that I would. Okay, there's a lot of people who are going to be really negatively impacted by this in the southeastern Louisiana region. And because they've probably ridden out some hurricanes before in the past, they're going to try it again. And there's just going to be some really different kind of impacts from this storm that they've never, experienced before. Simply because a hurricane of this magnitude has never crossed at this exact angle and an exact trajectory as into southeastern portions of Louisiana before, okay? We had Katrina, we had Betsy, we had all these really bad, storms that have went through the area, but they all approached from different angles. And, this one, the way that it's approaching really doesn't look good to me as far as storm surge goes. So it's going to be a very interesting situation to see how that plays out. Splatter, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Those in southern Louisiana should get out. As a trucker, I can say north of Interstate 20 is a good safe zone, and traffic up here isn't that bad. Yeah, I noticed that a lot of people are evacuating right now. The interstates are pretty much all jammed up if you're going east and west. But if you want to go straight north from New Orleans or the Baton Rouge area, it doesn't look like it's that bad. However, I do understand there's not a lot north of Baton Rouge. No offense to you guys who live in southern Mississippi, but I'd say that a lot of these people are heading for Lake Charles or Pensacola or possibly even Tallahassee there to get away from the biggest impacts from this storm. If we can take a look at the radar imagery over here near Florida. Okay, so this storm, it really isn't going to affect Florida at all, but some of the outer bands of this storm, some of the stronger storms on the outside edges of those convective bands are starting to affect places from Cape Coral all the way up to Tampa. There's some, these are some big storms, okay? But like whenever these move through Florida and even portions of the panhandle of Florida and the Big Bend area later today into tonight, this is not going to be anything like a hurricane. You guys have been through hurricanes before. These outer bands are going to bring a lot of rain, probably some isolated areas where we get some damaging wind gusts, a lot of cloud to ground lightning, but thankfully Florida is missing this one. They are not going to be feeling the burn from Hurricane Ida nearly as bad as Mississippi, Louisiana, or any of those deep south southern states there. So okay, so now what we need to do is we need to take a look at the latest official update from the National Hurricane Center, and we can do that right here. Hurricane Ida currently has maximum sustained winds at 105 miles an hour. Okay, 105 mile an hour winds. That's what we've got with the hurricane right now as it moves off to the northwest at 16 miles per hour. Okay, its current location it's about on the same parallel as Miami, or maybe just a little bit north of that, and it is once again moving northwest at 16 miles an hour. And now that's an average speed for a hurricane, but honestly, I was expecting this thing to be moving at around 10 to 12 miles an hour at this point. So it is moving a little bit faster than what we originally thought, which is good news. The faster it goes, the less chance that we're going to see a very significant hurricane. I'm sorry, a very catastrophic hurricane. We're going to see a significant hurricane no matter what, unfortunately. But if it can speed up a little bit, it will weaken compared to what it would be like if it didn't, if it went slow. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble explaining that concept today. You guys get it. You're smart. Anyways, Ken, thank you so much for the super chat. We do expect this to become a major hurricane sometime later this evening, maybe even during this live stream. Honestly, we're in the middle of rapid intensification. And we are probably by the end of this live stream going to see this thing have winds above 115 miles an hour, which makes it a category 3. and then in turn makes it a major hurricane. All right, and then we are still expecting a major hurricane here. Let me fix my pen tool. A major hurricane making landfall here in southeastern Louisiana. Once again, this is a little bit further east than what we saw yesterday, but it's still possibly going to make landfall as a Category 4 storm with 130-mile-an-hour winds, and still, there's still a possibility that we get that 140-mile-an-hour Category 4 that comes through, but it just depends on the speed at which this storm comes into the area. We do expect it to make landfall probably around 1 to 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. It just really depends on how fast this thing continues to speed up. If it continues to speed up at the same rate that it has been, it'll probably make landfall a little bit earlier tomorrow, which means that I'll start my live stream quite a bit earlier. However, a lot of the models for days and days now have shown an 8 p.m. landfall. I think that we're past that now. I think it's going to happen a little bit, before that. So we'll look a little bit more at that whenever we start looking at the models here in a second. But here's the really impressive thing. 1 p.m. Sunday, it's a major hurricane making landfall there in southeastern Louisiana. And then 1 a.m. on Monday, it's still a hurricane. It's still going to maintain its hurricane force winds all the way up here until around Baton Rouge, and then it's still going to be a tropical storm as it gets into south central portions of Mississippi, right there where Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana meet. So, and then it does turn into a tropical depression, and then up here it's just going to be a big rainmaker. It might spawn a few tornadoes over here in Alabama, but really the danger zone right now is going to be in this area. That's the danger zone. If you live in there, I wouldn't say everybody in that area needs to evacuate. If you're on the coast, evacuate. But if you live in that area, just make sure you're prepared for a very strong storm. And if you plan on traveling through the area, I would skip it. I would go north. I would just, avoid that part of the country over the next couple of days as much as you can, as much as you possibly can. So that is the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. And now I want to talk to you about some key messages here. Some key messages from the National Hurricane Center, because I just want to make sure that you guys know everything that's going on. And while I'm telling you about this stuff, we'll throw up a live camera here. This is waiting for Hurricane Ida in New Orleans. Okay, so you can already see, look at those clouds on that live stream. Look at those clouds on that live stream. Very low clouds, and they are already cranking, man. You can see them moving, and those are clouds from Hurricane Ida. And real quick, let me just talk about something else real quick, too. I want to show you one more thing. Go back to WSV3 here. A lot of times people talk about landfall, right? And you'll hear me use that word a lot today. When is Hurricane Ida going to make landfall? Blah, blah, blah. That's not when this part of the storm hits, okay? So that part's getting ready to hit New Orleans within the next couple of hours, all right? And it's going to be raining hard. There's going to be big-time wind gusts and everything, and it's going to be hard to evacuate and take care of all the things you need to do before you get, situated in your, position to get out of the state. So when I say hurricane landfall, I'm talking about this part, okay? It's going to be, tomorrow sometime when this part makes landfall. It's going to already be a big storm tonight, okay? If your plan is, okay, well, later this evening, I'll pack some stuff up. I'll wait for the traffic to die down and I'll get out. Well, you're going to be stuck in gridlock traffic on the interstate in the middle of a big storm, all right? So once this outer part comes in, you are going to start experiencing, your typical thunderstorms. And then once every single minute, as you get closer to that center of circulation, as that storm rapidly, intensifies as it moves towards you, the winds are going to get stronger. You can experience hurricane or tropical storm force winds early tomorrow morning. And you're not even close to being to where landfall happens. So I just want to make sure I made that clarification there. Landfall is when this eye comes onto shore, not when you start experiencing the storm. This is going to be a very long storm for some of you. It's going to be raining and just a really dreadful experience for multiple hours. And I just wanted to make sure I'll let you guys know about that. David, thank you for the super chat. I'm in Monroe, Louisiana, Northeast Louisiana, and we have already had evacuees from South Louisiana that arrived here by bus. That's good. That's good news. I'm honestly glad to see everything that's going on right now. There are a lot of people evacuating, even though that the mayor of New Orleans says that they can't evacuate because, I don't know, they didn't have enough time. I guess the mayor of New Orleans isn't subscribed to the Ryan Hall, y'all, YouTube channel. I don't know. I told her. I mean, I was talking about this 5 days ago. No, but for real, she said that there wasn't enough time to do a mandatory evacuation, but thankfully, a lot of people are, voluntarily evacuating. So that's good news, and I hope a lot of people are doing that, because especially seeing this northern trend here, this is probably going to end up being a pretty significant flooding event with the levees and the dam systems over there in the northern portion of New Orleans. So that is very good to see. Key messages. Let me pull up the 3D satellite imagery once again, and I will keep this on a loop here for you while I read off the key messages from the National Hurricane Center. This is important stuff, guys, and there's a lot of people out there that want to hear it. So there is a danger of life-threatening storm surge inundation Sunday along the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi. So we talk a lot about Louisiana. This is also going to affect Mississippi as well, okay? Especially there, the closer you are to New Orleans, the more impactful this will be for you. Extremely life-threatening inundation of 9 feet or greater above ground level is possible somewhere within the area from Morgan City, Louisiana to the east coast of Mississippi. Overtopping of local levees outside of the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction systems is possible. Okay, so this is the stuff that caused the big problems during Hurricane Katrina, and you'll hear a lot of people out there talking about this is going to be Hurricane Katrina 2.0. This is worse than Hurricane Katrina. Blah blah blah. The fact of the matter is we don't know. We don't know if this is going to be worse than Hurricane Katrina or not, because what made Hurricane Katrina bad was not simply the strength of the storm. Okay, this is probably going to make landfall as a much stronger storm than Hurricane Katrina. But what made Hurricane Katrina bad was the trajectory and the angle of which it hit, and the amount of storm surge that it brought up on those levees in Louisiana, and they failed. Okay, now here's some things that we have on our side. This is approaching from a different angle. It looks to me like this storm's going to have a little bit of a smaller eye, okay? So Hurricane Katrina had this big eye and this big area of low pressure that was pushing the water up in front of it, okay? I don't think we're going to see, as serious of a situation with that going on with this storm, okay? And also, those levees were rebuilt a long time ago, and they are supposedly built to handle a 30-foot surge or a one every 200-year storm or something like that. So we have those things going for us, and if those levees don't fail, this will not be another Hurricane Katrina. All right, it doesn't have to be another Hurricane Katrina for this to be a really bad storm, okay? The 130 to 140 mile an hour wind gusts are going to be bad enough on their own. When Katrina made landfall, it was only like 110, 115, 120 miles an hour. So you got to keep that in mind. This is going to be a very bad storm for different reasons, and just because it may not be as devastating as Hurricane Katrina doesn't mean that you shouldn't take it seriously. All it takes is for some floodwaters, some storm surge to come up your street, and then all of a sudden it's your Hurricane Katrina. So every storm that like this, where everybody in the world is telling you to take it seriously. Take it seriously, especially if you live on the knife's edge over here in southeastern Louisiana. You gotta be prepared for this kind of stuff. Okay. Also, Ida is expected to be an extremely dangerous major hurricane when it reaches the coast of Louisiana. Hurricane force winds are expected Sunday in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Louisiana coast, including the metropolitan area of New Orleans. Okay, so New Orleans, the city of New Orleans, can expect hurricane force winds or greater as this storm makes landfall. This is going to possibly lead to catastrophic wind damage. Where the core of Ida moves onto shore. Okay, so that's not a word that I use lightly. Okay, catastrophic wind damage is going to be possible wherever this eye wall comes onto shore at. Okay, so if that happens to be a little bit further east than what we originally thought, then Port Sulphur, New Orleans, all these places over here in the extreme southeastern Louisiana, once again, catastrophic wind damage is possible. Okay, and then on top of that, you're going to have all the coastal flooding. Here's what you need to do. You need to take actions to protect your life and property, and you should rush those actions to completion today. Okay? If you wait until this evening, if you wait until I'm done over here just talking all day long, you have waited too long. Okay? You need to get out now. Okay? I know that the interstate's completely blocked up. I know that, it seems like a hassle. I know that it seems like it might be okay and you should just stay home. But a lot of people on Monday morning are going to be wishing that they got out of Louisiana when they had the chance. You need to do it now. And I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to try to fearmonger or anything like that. I'm just hoping that of the 5,500 people that are watching right now, there's one person that's on the fence about leaving. And I'm just take my word for it. Get out of there. And if you're in extreme southeastern Louisiana, get out of there. There's not going to be any work on Monday. All right, you're going to be out of work. There's not going to be any school. There's no reason to stay. All right, there's no reason to stay. Get out of there. And please remember to take your pets with you. If you have pets, don't leave your pets behind. They are susceptible to hurricanes, just like me and you are. Very generous from Clint Weaver. Thank you so much for that very generous $20 super chat. Really, really appreciate all the support, guys. Also, Ida is likely to produce heavy rainfall Sunday and Monday across the central Gulf Coast from southeast Louisiana to the coastal portions of Mississippi, resulting in life-threatening flash flooding. Guys, it is possible that we could see over 15 inches of rain from this storm as it makes landfall. Right there where all of the coastal flooding is going to be happening. So imagine this, right? You've got 10-foot storm surge bringing a wall of water over much of the extreme southeastern portion of the state. Okay, a wall of water is coming in, 9-10 feet of water, just completely, overtaking all of the canals, all of these little waterways, the Mississippi River Delta there, and now add 20 inches of rain across a very wide area in southeastern Louisiana. You got a flash flood. Flash floods usually in this area are very brief. Okay, they flood the area and then everything drains into the ocean like it's supposed to. But when the ocean is moved inland, okay, and it's elevated, there is nowhere for that water to go. So you've got coastal flooding, you've got all of this water coming in from the ocean because the hurricane is pushing it on shore. And then at the same time, the hurricane has lifted water from the ocean and now is dumping it on land. That is going to create, once again, a catastrophic situation for flooding. And that's another thing that a lot of people overlook. They're like, well, I don't think the storm surge can get to me. And, I think my house can handle 130 mile an hour winds, so I'm going to stay home. But can your house actually handle 20 inches of rain and 10 foot of storm surge? Okay. You may not even know it because a storm like this hasn't happened in your lifetime, likely, where a storm this strong has crossed into Louisiana at this angle. You might not even know it, but there might be a little canalway, a low-lying area behind your house where, this river floods and then some of the coastal flooding and storm surge kind of comes in around you, and now you're surrounded, okay? You've got nowhere to go. There's a flash flood on this side. You're dealing with coastal flooding on this side, and there's mandatory evacuations, so you're not going to have, police and emergency management services at your disposal. Just get out, all right? Just get out. If you are, if your local officials are telling you that it's, wise to evacuate, listen to them. Listen to your local officials, okay? So, yeah, this is a very big storm. Thank you so much, National Public Adjusting. Thank you for all the support, guys. It's very appreciated. Very, very appreciated. So those are our key messages. Okay, those are the main things that I wanted to communicate to the world, and we got that out, okay? The National Hurricane Center agrees with me on all that stuff that I just said. In fact, most of that information came from the National Hurricane Center. So make sure you do what you can to get out of southeastern Louisiana while you can, okay? Let's see here. What about the surrounding states like Georgia? We're going to talk about the surrounding states like Georgia right here in a minute. And guys, I know the chat's going crazy. We got a lot of people in here asking questions, and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can here in a minute. But I'm really going to try to work through this forecast but before I start interacting with the chat a lot, okay? And I may miss some of your super chats and stuff, but thank you, the Random Explorer, for becoming an official channel member. That's super awesome. I really do appreciate it. Now let's immediately switch our view here. Welcome our new channel to hurricane reconnaissance. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking at here very briefly, and we'll check back in on this periodically as we go. Okay, so once again, I told you guys we were going to be able to look at these planes as they drive or they fly into the hurricane. All right, so what you're looking at here is a flight path. We had a plane take off from Texas, and now it's flying directly towards Hurricane Ida. And once it gets in there, it's going to be able to tell us a lot of useful information about the strength of the storm. Guess what, though? There's another hurricane in the air, and it is already inside of Hurricane Ida. And we're going to be looking at some of this information right now. It looks to me like we're seeing some 63-mile-an-hour gusts where they are right now. 72.5 miles an hour surface winds. Just trying to, look at some of these points and see what kind of winds we're talking about. 80.6 miles an hour. 78.3 mile an hour. I don't think they're exactly as close as they can be to the center yet. So we will continue to see these being updated. 90 mile an hour. So what these planes do is the center of Hurricane Ida is like right here, right? So this plane took off from Florida, and now it's flying like this, all right? And it's going to go all the way to those outer bands of the storm, and it's going to do like a little bit of an X motion, okay? So it's going to go to where it thinks the center is, and it's going to come through, and it's going to cross through the center 2 or 3 times. And then during that, you'll see all these little icons. You see these? They drop these little probes into the storm that collect information like the dew point and the wind speed and the direction and the pressure in millibars and all that stuff. And then we can take this data and look at it and kind of infer if the storm is strengthening or not. So I don't want to, look at these first little runs here and say that the storm is definitely, strengthening or weakening just yet. I want to wait until we have just a couple more data points before we start talking about exactly how strong this storm may or may not be right now. It's these hurricane missions that this is what inspires the National Hurricane Center to upgrade the storm from either a hurricane or a Category 1 hurricane or Category 2 or whatever, and they'll wait until these guys find some new information before they talk more about that. So right now, I think the highest one I saw was 95 mile an hour, but you got to think they are not even close to the center. Okay, so that is interesting to say the least. This might be the one where they actually drive or they fly. Why do I keep saying drive? They fly into a portion of the storm that actually has 115 mile an hour winds or higher. And then we officially have a major hurricane on our hands. So we're going to check back on that periodically. But I do want to go ahead and take a look at some other things real quick. Let me load up my webpage here. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I know this live stream format is a little bit different than the edited videos. You have to deal with me waiting for things to load and forgetting what I was saying and all that stuff. So real quick, I wanted to show you the situation on the ground with our mandatory evacuations and our voluntary evacuations. Aaron Jajax down there at the airport in New Orleans. And as you can see, 2 hours ago, flights are still going in and out, but a lot of people are there trying to evacuate. Okay, so we talked about how there's so much traffic and stuff, but flying is still an option. Okay, I don't know how long the airport will be open there, but flying is still an option right now. But it does look like the airport is pretty packed there. And as you can see, here's another video that shows the airport being packed. We've got this was at 5:30 a.m. this morning. It was packed at that point, and it's still packed at 2 p.m. 2 hours ago. So we are not seeing this let down right now. We also had a message here from the governor. She said, now is the time to leave. We'll listen in on this real quick.
Wherever that is, hopefully that's your home in our city, but in a safe space. If you're staying, you need to be prepared for damaging wind, power outages, heavy rain, tornadoes. What I am told is that this storm in no way will be weakening. There will be, and there are no signs, again, that this storm will weaken. And there's always an opportunity for the storm to strengthen. As you know, this continues to remain a very fluid situation. And we know, again, that time is not on our side. It's rapidly, it's growing, it's intensifying. And so that is, again, if you are voluntarily evacuating our city, now is the time to leave. You need to do so immediately.
Okay, so that was, that was a little bit ago, but the message is still the same. Now is the time to leave. And the reason I played that is I needed to take a quick break from talking. I'll have to get a water here in just a second. But that's what we're talking about right now, guys. This is a serious situation. This is not a hurricane to play around with. This is not going to be similar to the hurricane that you saw when you were 12 years old and your house was just fine. This is going to be a little bit different of a situation, and everybody should try to get out while they can. And you really don't have much longer to do that. So if you are somebody that plans on staying in Louisiana, if you are somebody that plans on trying to ride it out, if you're somebody that for some reason really can't leave. I know that there are, some circumstances to where maybe you really can't leave. I am going to be here for you, okay? Make sure you charge up your phone, get a backup battery, whatever it takes, and you subscribe to me here on YouTube. I'm going to be live all day tomorrow, okay? 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. It don't matter to me. And as we get new updates and as we are really narrowing down where that catastrophic area of damage is going to occur, I'm going to be right here relaying all that information to you, okay? So if you live down in that area, obviously if you have another place that you get your, weather information from, whether that's the National Hurricane Center, the Weather Channel, your local news station, whatever, that's fine. But if you don't think that there's adequate coverage that you're able to get on your phone with cell phone data, I will be right here on YouTube for you. That's why I do it on YouTube. That's why, every day the Weather Channel tries to hire me and I say, nope, I'm staying on YouTube. But for real, guys, I'm going to be here for you, and make sure that you charge up your phone, get some sort of backup battery, and because there very likely will be power outages, but hopefully the cell data will stay up and we'll be able to communicate that way. So let me look at a couple other things here. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you just a couple more things about the traffic and stuff. This is what the traffic looked like this morning. Once again, about 8 hours ago. It's gridlocked out there, and from what I'm hearing, it looks pretty similar right now. It looks pretty similar right now. Hurricane Ida evacuations are underway in New Orleans, and this is I-10 westbound. Okay, so everybody's going to Lake Charles there. All right, not a lot of people going towards New Orleans, but a lot of people are leaving, and this is probably one of the reasons too why a lot of people decided to stay home. They don't want to deal with that traffic. Traffic is nothing. Traffic is nothing compared to a Category 4 hurricane. I promise you that. And there's just another view of the traffic out there. So, you should have got out earlier, but you still have a chance. It's not too late. Go ahead and evacuate now. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple more things on the weather models. Okay, so I just, kind of talked about how it's important that we, instead of forecasting this storm, we need to nowcast it. Well, now I'm saying that we should forecast it again, okay? This is probably going to be one of the last times that we look at the weather models in depth like this because, we're so close to this storm actually making landfall that we can just watch it on satellite and pretty much judge what's going to happen. But we're going to look at the forecast models here. We're going to pinpoint all of the latest updates and actually talk about the forecast and what we can expect according to the latest suite of model runs. And we're going to do that right now. I'm going to focus on the southeastern portion of the United States. And then towards the end, I am going to do a brief update on how this is going to affect the rest of the United States here. Okay, so if you're in Arkansas, Mississippi, Western Tennessee, Western Kentucky, right along the Ohio River here in the Ohio Valley, all the way into portions of Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic region, everybody's going to feel some of Hurricane Ida's wrath, okay? And I'm going to tell you all about that right here in a second. First of all, let's get through the NAM 3 kilometers composite reflectivity simulation of what may happen later today into tomorrow, okay? So this is crazy, man. Literally yesterday, we were looking at these models, and every single one of them was showing that this was not going to make landfall until closer to 8 p.m. tomorrow. And now, look at this. Now look at this. We're at 10 a.m. We are at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and the storm's knocking on southeastern Louisiana's door, making landfall right there around 1 or 2 p.m. That's insane. This thing has sped up incredibly. Like it's sped up so much. And once again, I think that might be our saving grace. That might be our saving grace, because the faster this thing goes, the less time it has to intensify. Okay. We thought it was going to have all the way until 8 p.m. tomorrow to intensify, but it may only have until around noon or 1 p.m. That's a huge forecast change right there. I didn't see that coming, to be honest with you. That is going a lot faster than what we thought. But according to the NAM model, it still intensifies pretty intensely and pretty rapidly. And, you can see it on satellite there. It definitely is intensifying. So according to this model, we're still going to see a very devastating and catastrophic storm as it comes ashore there. Yeah, very big time rain. I want to look at one more thing here. Yeah, this shows the actual landfall is happening very significantly further east than what all of the models were showing yesterday. And then, of course, we have to talk about the very heavy rain that's going to fall here. Once again, 15 inches of rain possible through much of southeastern Louisiana. Some of those hurricane force winds are going to be moving into the Baton Rouge and New Orleans area. Our new channel member. At this point, around 10 p.m. tomorrow. And then the flash flooding situation is going to be absolutely incredible over here. But there's another layer to this cake that not a lot of people have talked about so far. And I'm going to start really digging into it right here. You see these feeder bands? You see these little spider leg looking things coming out of the center of the storm? Those are going to be another dangerous portion of the storm as this thing makes landfall, okay? So this is pretty common for tropical systems to, once they actually come onto shore, they become less of a, hurricane force wind problem around the center of circulation and more of a sporadic tornado outbreak. Okay, so because of the trough that this is going to create, because of all of the lower level jet stream winds that are going to be rotating around this thing and kicking up probably close to 70 or 80, maybe even 90 knots on the southeastern quadrant of this storm. And the fact that this low pressure system is going to start to eject off to the northeast, wrap in some cooler air behind it, plenty of warm, moist air out in front of it. Bada bing, bada boom. You put those ingredients together, literally everything spins. So I am kind of concerned not only for the hurricane force winds over here in southeastern Louisiana, maybe all the way into southwestern portions of Mississippi, but now I'm also starting to get a little bit concerned about the possibility for some tornadoes that are spinning up in these feeder bands right here, okay? So just imagine you're down here in southeastern Louisiana, you just got hit by 130 mile an hour winds, you just got dumped on by 15 to 20 inches of rain, and now a tornado comes through. Hurricanes are bad enough on their own, but you throw tornadoes into the mix, and the whole thing becomes a lot worse. And this is not just going to affect the places down there on the coast. Now, the tornado parameters are going to be quite a bit higher down there on the coast versus a little bit further to the north and east. But everywhere that gets affected by these feeder bands has a possibility of seeing isolated tornadoes. So we're talking about southern Mississippi here, southern Alabama even, the western portions of the Florida Panhandle. These could be tornadic as they come through, especially these two bands, okay? If this is actually what the radar looks like at 5 p.m. on Monday, we're going to be seeing tornadoes, okay, right here in southern Mississippi and also southern Alabama. And we're going to keep pushing this forward. And look at all of that rotation. This thing is still spinning like a top all the way out at 2 a.m. on Tuesday. And this is when, once again, we still have that threat for tornadoes in the central Alabama region. All right. So pretty much if you're looking at the radar or the satellite and you see where the storm is, the southeastern quadrant, where there are feeder bands that are going into the storm, that's where we can expect at least a marginal tornado outbreak. Now, I don't know if these will be long track, violent tornadoes that cause a bunch of problems on their own, but they will definitely be brief tornadoes that can cause damage in their own right. Okay, I'm not saying that this is going to be a giant, like F5 tornadoes all over the place, but, it's very common for these tropical storms to produce tornadoes, and this composite reflectivity image really reminds me of the ingredients that it takes to make that happen. Another thing that we look at to forecast those tornadoes, once again, I was just talking about this, is the 850 millibar winds. This is the lower level jet stream area. It's that part of the atmosphere. And usually what you want to look for is a negatively tilted trough. In this case, it's a negatively tilted bowling ball of a storm with the southeastern quadrant having winds in the 850 millibar level over over 40 to 50 knots. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in Alabama and Mississippi. So once again, if you live out there, be prepared, not for a hurricane, but possibly a mini tornado outbreak as this moves into land. Okay. So let's take a look at the HWRF model. That's another very important model that we've been looking at for the past little bit. Let me switch over here to wind. Okay, let's go to surface wind, wind speed. What is it forecasting now as far as wind speed goes? So as you can see, this starts off at around 8 a.m. this morning at 85 miles an hour. By 5 p.m. is expecting 115 miles an hour. So far, this model is doing pretty good at predicting how fast the winds are going to be. And then as you can see, as this gets closer to the shore, we're at 132.9 miles per hour at 2 a.m. on Sunday. And then we're going to hover right around that 130 mile an hour mark until it makes landfall. Once again, according to this model, between 2 and 5 p.m. This thing has sped up significantly. And I'm telling you guys, even if this continues to go towards Louisiana and it still makes landfall as a Category 5 storm early tomorrow morning, okay, even if it does go that fast, we better thank our lucky stars that it did go that fast because, once again, even if it makes landfall to Category 5, if it didn't make, if it didn't slow down, then this probably would have been like one of the strongest storms that has ever happened, ever. I couldn't imagine if this thing actually waited until 8 p.m. to make landfall, if it's actually going to have 130 mile an hour sustained winds, tomorrow at 10 a.m., just imagine by 8 p.m. if it had that much time to intensify, how bad it would be. Thank goodness this thing is speeding up. But as you can see, even though it's speeding up and it's looking like it might not be, as terrible as it could be, it's still going to be terrible. 114 mile an hour winds through much of the southeastern portion of Louisiana by 5 p.m. tomorrow. And guys, remember, this is sustained winds. 114 mile an hour sustained winds. So the wind's blowing 114 miles an hour, and then you get 130, 140 mile an hour gust. And you're like, oh, well, maybe it'll calm down. Nope, it goes back to blowing 114 miles an hour. There's not a lot of structures. There's not a lot of things out there that can handle that. And that's the kind of the winds that we'll be dealing with for a few hours at least in the southern and southeastern portions of Louisiana. And those winds will quickly decrease as we go to the north, but we're still expecting hurricane force winds as this goes by New Orleans and Baton Rouge. But once this gets way up here, we're mainly going to be talking about a rain threat and a big time wind threat. Okay, rain and wind. That's the main. Rain and tornadoes. That's the main threats that we have as this moves off to the north. Speaking of rain, I've got one more model that I want to show you. A lot of people, once again, are asking about the places outside of the coast there, so we're going to briefly talk about that in just a second. Let me find the region here. Southeast. There we go. All right, so let's take a look at the precipitation. How much rain are we going to get out here? Oh, boy. Once again, somebody down here in southeastern Louisiana is going to get 17 inches, close to 18 inches of rain. Absolutely incredible. That amount of rain on top of the coastal flooding, the catastrophic coastal flooding that's going to be happening. I can't even imagine the pictures and videos that are going to be coming out of there after this thing moves through. I've lost my mouse here. Hold on. Okay. Anyways, some of those heavy rains are going to make it all the way through the state of Mississippi. If you live in the state of Mississippi in a flood-prone area, get ready for a flood. It's coming. Seriously, get ready for a flood because, the whole state's going to be covered in anywhere from 4 to 10 inches of rain. Same thing for western Tennessee, and this is really, really unfortunate because these guys just dealt with a catastrophic, historic flood the other day. And now it looks like possibly 4, 5, 6 inches of rain is going to fall in a short period of time from this storm. And then there's going to be this area through the Ohio River Valley all the way up into West Virginia and Pennsylvania that possibly sees 6, 7, 8 inches of rain out of this. So really, once it gets past this area, points north and east, it's a flooding problem. Okay, that's the main problem you're going to have. And it's going to be significant too. This is going to be a river flooding event. There's such a widespread area that's getting such a high amount of rain. I imagine that the Ohio River is going to get pretty big. The Mississippi River is going to get pretty big. All these little rivers through the southern Kentucky and western Tennessee areas are going to get really big. All these rivers, especially in the Appalachian Mountains here, northern areas of West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, into Maryland, and portions of even southeastern Pennsylvania. That's too much rain for the Appalachian Mountains, man. You guys are going to be dealing with some big-time flooding over there. But yeah, the vast majority of like the catastrophic flooding is going to be happening down here in Louisiana, Mississippi, western portions of Alabama, and extreme southwestern portions of Tennessee. That's what we are looking at right there. I'm going to take a real quick break. I got to get me something to drink, man. I got to get me something to drink. And I will be right back. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to be taking questions, okay? I know we got a lot of people in the chat that are asking questions. I'm going to go back and read through some of those super chats that I missed. But if anybody has a question for me, go ahead and type it up. And when you see me come back, to the chair, hit enter, all right? And then I will try to read as many questions as I can. And then we will hopefully, get everybody's situation covered, okay? If you live in, middle of nowhere, Alabama, New Orleans, Arkansas, I can tell you what's going to happen through any of those places, okay? So I'm going to go get me something to drink real quick and get those questions ready, okay? BRB. I told you I wouldn't be gone long. I told you I wasn't going to be gone long. Okay, I'm back now, and I am ready for your questions, okay? Keep them weather related. Keep them Hurricane Ida related. I know there's tornadoes. I know there's tornadoes right now. If anybody's watching that needs to know, currently there is a pretty much a tornado outbreak going on in South Dakota and Iowa right now. We've got tornado warnings for Lyon and Lincoln counties in Iowa, also Rock and I guess Minnesota counties in Iowa, and then also Lincoln County in South Dakota are under tornado warnings, and two of those tornado warnings have live reported tornadoes on the ground right now. Okay, so after we do this little quick Q&A session, I want to, this live stream is about Hurricane Ida. All right, that's what this is about. As soon as we get all this information out, if this is still going on, I will go up there and cover it, okay? I know we got people that are watching that are probably from around that area, and you probably know somebody that's from around that area. So if I can make this useful in that way as well, I will. So, ready for a crazy question? Yeah, so we just got a lot of questions there. First of all, huge shout out to Sophie Ryan for the very, very generous $50 super chat. You didn't have to do that. But I really do appreciate it. I couldn't do this if it wasn't, for people like that. Couldn't justify the time spent up here. I mean, I would do it anyways. I love the weather. I'm up here tracking this stuff. Usually, if I didn't have the YouTube channel and stuff, I'm up here usually for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. Okay. But 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day, man, the wife, I don't know if she would be okay with it if Sophie Ryan didn't give $50 every once in a while. But seriously, thank you. Okay. So let's read some of these questions here. What will the winds be like in Baton Rouge? All right. I'm going to get really in depth here for you. So the winds in Baton Rouge are going to be pretty significant. Okay, but they're not going to be as bad as on the coast. Okay, so I don't think you're going to see those 150-mile-an-hour winds. Let me go back to the HWRF model. I'm going to answer everybody's question very in depth. All right, so if I take a while to get to your question, don't get mad at me. All right, just hang out. This is a great stream to be at. All right, you don't have to go anywhere. Models. Okay, so let me go actually zoom in on Louisiana here. Actually, I can't do that. I can do this. So, Baton Rouge is up here. When this storm makes landfall, hold on, let me refresh. Okay. When this storm makes landfall around 5 p.m. Tomorrow, probably a little bit sooner than that, actually. What you're going to be experiencing at this point is tropical storm force winds between 30 and 40 miles an hour. Okay, this has a really small catastrophic wind field. All right, it's not like everybody underneath this circle here is going to be experiencing hurricane force winds or above. It's at this point that you'll start feeling those 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, maybe around 5 p.m. Now we're talking about 60 to 70 miles an hour. And then as this storm gets closer to you, we're going to be talking about, at this point, maybe 2 a.m. on Monday, those 100-mile-an-hour winds coming through. Okay, I think that's that's the most that you can expect there in Baton Rouge. Okay, 100-mile-an-hour winds with maybe some gusts that are a little bit higher than that. So it's pretty much once it gets past Baton Rouge, that's when it really starts to weaken as far as the wind goes. North here in southwestern portions of Mississippi, I do think that you can expect to see some hurricane force winds, and especially some hurricane force wind gusts. But those sustained winds by 5 p.m. on Monday will be, pretty much just tropical storm force here in southeastern Arkansas. Now, some of these storms that have those embedded tornadoes in them, like I was talking about earlier, are going to have some big-time hurricane force wind gusts. But for the most part, we're going to be talking about tropical storm force winds here, and then, it'll die off as it goes to the north. But yeah, Baton Rouge, I would prepare for the worst and hope for the best. The worst is going to be 100-mile-an-hour winds there during the early morning hours on Monday. With isolated gusts around 115, 120 miles an hour. However, the best case scenario is that this thing weakens a lot as it comes onto land, or it slows down a lot as it comes onto land, and those really strong winds don't make it to you. All right. I think no matter what, though, you are going to experience hurricane force winds in excess of 80 miles an hour for a sustained period of time. So, if you have any structures or anything like that that could be impacted like that, take the precautions necessary to protect your life and property now, because you don't have much longer to do so. All things outdoors. All things outdoors. Thank you for the very generous super chat. It says, will there be severe weather in Annapolis, Maryland anytime soon? Also, thank you for all you do, and I love your weather forecast. Thank you so much. All things outdoors. Yes, in Maryland, it's very possible that we get some severe weather from Ida. Okay, so I'll show you this once again. Let's go over to the NAM 12-kilometer model. I think this will go out far enough. So once this thing comes onto land, we're going to see this combination of all this energy from the north, combined with all this energy from Hurricane Ida, and just kind of create a channel path here of big-time thunderstorms and heavy rains that are going to be plaguing the region from southern Ohio into northern West Virginia, through the panhandles of West Virginia and Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, and then also Delaware and New Jersey and Northern Virginia as well. This whole area right here from, early tomorrow all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday, probably even Thursday, you're going to be dealing with these storms and heavy rain bands that are coming through thanks to the storm, or thanks to Hurricane Ida. Okay. So that is, that's what we're talking about there. Severe weather is probably not going to be your biggest concern. There's definitely the chance for some severe weather, but the heavy rain and the flooding is going to be the biggest thing that's going on there. Let's see here. Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio. How many people from Ohio do we have in the chat? Raise your hand if you're from Ohio. I'm your neighbor. I'm from Kentucky. So in Dayton, Ohio, once again, I think that the biggest threat for you is going to be wind. I'm sorry, rain. All right. But you're right there on the line to where, according to this model anyways, where you might not see any rain or you might see a lot. Let me go over to the Euro. I like the Euro better when it comes to their rainfall forecasts. Still though. Let me zoom in here on Ohio. Give me just a second. Look at that. Look at that. So there's a big streak of rain that's going to be going through Ohio, causing probably some pretty significant flooding, especially around the Portsmouth area, down south of Columbus. But right there where Dayton, Ohio is, you're on the line to where you could get maybe a half an inch of rain to maybe an inch and a half or 2 inches. It just depends on if this thing inches up a little bit or goes down. If this thing actually makes landfall a little bit further north and east, you'll probably not experience as much rain, but if it goes a little bit further west, you will probably get at least 2 inches of rain up here. But that's the biggest threat in Dayton, Ohio. You guys don't have to worry about anything at all, really, other than the possibility of maybe some minor flooding with this. What do you expect in Vicksburg, Mississippi? Don't get mad at me, but I don't know where that is. Oh, I see it. Vicksburg. I see it. Wait. What am I doing? No. I want to do traffic. Oh, anyways, it just reminded me, since we're looking at the map here, I want to take a look at traffic. People are still evacuating, it looks like, from New Orleans, and they're going west. They're going west or they're going east. Nobody's going north. More people need to go north because that road's empty. Okay, I heard Macomb and Summit in Mississippi are very nice this time of year. But the traffic is really bad out there. But anyways, Vicksburg, you guys are definitely going to be in the crosshairs for, first of all, the biggest threat for you guys is going to be the wind. 6 to 10 inches of rain is going to be possible for you there. Let me go down to Mississippi. Of course, there isn't a thing for Mississippi. But anyways, 6 to 10 inches of rain is going to be possible for you down there. And then on top of that, you also have the very real chance of maybe seeing some tornadoes. So let me show you this composite reflectivity once again. Vicksburg. Yeah, you're going to be right there where it's possible for you to get some tornadoes. But I think that the main threat for you in southwestern portions of Mississippi, this is anybody that's asking a question in southwestern Mississippi, the biggest threat for you is going to be the rain. All right, 6 to 10 inches of rain, maybe more in some areas, is going to cause a lot of problems. If you live in a flood prone area, take precautions now.
It is on 444.775 megahertz.
Should people in Slidell evacuate? I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's probably not going to be the most heavily impacted area, but there's definitely some big problems there with the way the water canals and everything's set up. And if this turns out to be a worst case scenario, you are going to wish that you hightailed your butt out of there right now. Get out of there. If you're in Southeastern Louisiana, get out. Get out. That's my final piece of advice on that. I don't think anybody in Southeastern Louisiana should stay. Even if you're so far inland where you think it's not going to bother you. I mean, go for a little trip. Wow. Huge shout out and thank you to the, once again, very, very generous $100 super chat to Jeanette Castro. I think I'm saying that right. Jeanette, thank you so much. You did not have to do that. Everybody in the chat, say thank you to Janet or Jeanette. I say thank you. That's huge. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Canton, Ohio. I pretty much talked about Ohio. This is everybody saying hi from Ohio. Wow, we got a lot of Ohioans in here. A lot of people are asking where I'm from. I'm from Kentucky, on the eastern part. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm deep in the Appalachian Mountains. Got a lot of hillbilly in me, a lot of redneck. I'm just a high-tech redneck over here on YouTube. That's what I should have named my channel right there, the high-tech redneck weatherman. Anyways, Devin Proctor, thank you for the super chat. He says, what will happen in Aiken, Aiken, South Carolina? I hope I'm saying that right. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is not going to affect you at all in South Carolina. In fact, you're going to have very enjoyable weather. Tigers fan says, is this storm still going through bombogenesis? Yes, it is still going through bombogenesis. Let me go back over here to the radar view and we'll pull up our very, impressive if I say so myself, a 3D view of Hurricane Ida here as it approaches landfall. Bombogenesis is whenever a storm drops in pressure by 24 millibars in 24 hours. So pretty much a millibar an hour. That's when, we call it bombogenesis. This thing has already went through bombogenesis. And in fact, generally, whenever we're talking about hurricanes and tropical systems, we call it rapid intensification. But the technical scientific term is bombogenesis or bomb cyclone. And that's exactly what we're experiencing with this right now. And that's why it's still so confusing as to exactly what kind of impacts Louisiana are going to get from this. Because, man, just literally within the past little bit, it's the winds have probably went up 10 miles an hour. Is that going to continue to happen as it goes up here? Is it going to have time to get to 120, 130, 140, 150 miles an hour before landfall? Or is the bombogenesis, cycle pretty much already done? And then we're going to continue to see maybe a gradual increase as it goes towards landfall. Those are the questions that we don't know the answers to, and the stuff that we have to continue to nowcast, okay? We have to continue to look at the aircraft reconnaissance data. We have to continue to look at the latest updates from the National Hurricane Center. And that's what we're doing now. We are now casting here, but there's definitely still a chance that this is, just in the beginning stages of its bombogenesis or bombogenesis cycle here. So we're going to keep a very close eye on it. Let's see here. What else we got? I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Everyone better evacuate. Yes, but not from Philadelphia. No need to evacuate if you're from Philadelphia, just to make sure that my words don't get misused there. But Philadelphia might be getting some big time rain out of this, that's for sure. But yeah, everybody better evacuate in southeastern Louisiana for sure. I'm in northeastern Arkansas. That's another really interesting place, northeastern Arkansas. Once again, you're not going to get the brunt of the storm. You're not going to get the most intense part of the storm, but there's a very slight chance that you'll get grazed by some of these heavier rains here as they go off to the north and east. So it depends on how far north and east you are in Arkansas. If you're way up here right next to the Mississippi or the Tennessee border there's a good chance you might see some rains in excess of 3 inches. But even if you're just a couple miles off to the west there, then I would say that, this is probably not going to affect you at all. It's going to cool off the air a little bit. That's about it. I live near Ellicott City. I hope it will not be a repeat flooding. I hope not too. I really hope not. What about downtown New Orleans? That's a good question. Downtown New Orleans is going to experience a very significant portion of this storm, but thankfully, I don't believe that downtown New Orleans is going to experience the worst part of this storm. So let me go back to Louisiana. Once again, there's probably a lot of people watching right now that are literally disgusted. Like, why is he using the NAM model? You can't use NAM models whenever you're talking about tropical storms. All of my fellow weather enthusiasts and weather nerds out there, don't worry. I'm not going to show the pressure. I'm not going to show the wind speed. The NAM is really good at visualizing what the radar reflectivity could look like as we get closer to the storm. So, I understand that the NAM overdoes the strength on these storms, but it doesn't matter because I'm not talking about the strength here. I'm talking about the timing, the placement, and the radar orientation as we look at some of these other parameters. Okay, so once again, New Orleans is a big place. All right, it's right here on the southeastern portion of Louisiana, south of Lake Pontchartrain, or Pontchartrain. I always say that wrong. So, and there's a lot of little neighborhoods around this lake here that are, kind of consider themselves New Orleans. But we're mainly going to talk about the most southeastern portion of the metro area here. And that's what we're going to look at on the radar model. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't switch over to the map view. That probably looked really screwed up. Sorry. Anyways, right there on the southern side in New Orleans, the brunt of this storm is going to be moving in around 6 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so it's at this time where you can experience those hurricane force wind gusts in excess of 80 or 90 miles an hour constantly. Okay, a lot of times when people talk about winds, they say you've probably been in a severe thunderstorm before that's had 60 or 70 miles an hour winds, but that's just a gust. Okay, it comes through, it knocks down a couple trees, and then it's over. But in this case, it doesn't stop. Okay, 70 or 80 miles an hour winds that don't stop can do a lot of damage, okay? And then as we get maybe even a little bit further out to 7 p.m., we might be seeing some of those 90 to maybe 100-mile-an-hour winds coming through. But I would say it's a very safe bet that you're going to see a prolonged period of hurricane-force winds from maybe around 6 p.m. all the way through midnight with those hurricane-force gusts happening on and off even later on into the night. Look at how much this is stalled out over this area. 5 a.m., it's still pouring the rain. That's going to lead to some big-time flooding. And also in New Orleans, you have to watch out for these supercells embedded in the feeder bands because tornadoes can come out of this hurricane and go right over you. Just as easy as the hurricane came onto land, this thing's going to form up a bunch of water spouts and send them onto land as well. So be ready for that in downtown New Orleans. Now, obviously, 70, 80 miles an hour winds, maybe 100 mile an hour here and there. That's not going to destroy the city of New Orleans. And it's not necessarily a reason for using words like catastrophic and stuff. The main thing that we're worried about over in that area is flooding. Okay. So we're going to have that 15 to 20 inches of rain falling, all of those little rivers and canals that we saw leading into this lake, the Mississippi River Delta over here. All this stuff is going to be absolutely flooding like crazy. And then on top of that, you're going to have all this water coming inland. Oh, I did it again. There we go. We're going to have all this water coming inland from the Gulf of Mexico, and they all compile right here around New Orleans. Okay, that's what we're concerned about, is the coastal flooding and the flash flooding that's going to occur with this. Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely going to be some wind damage, and I would probably expect, major and significant widespread wind damage. But, I'm being careful. The catastrophic wind damage, as far as I can tell right now, if it continues to look like it's going to make landfall in this area, is going to be happening in this place right here. Okay, that's where the catastrophic wind damage is likely going to happen. Everywhere north of that is likely going to see very widespread, dangerous wind damage, Baton Rouge, all the way down into New Orleans. But I don't think that you're going to get those 130, maybe 140 mile an hour winds like the places to your south, unless the track shifts significantly. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that answered the question as much as it could. D. Hayford, thank you so much for the very generous $10 super chat. How about Tennessee? If you're in Western Tennessee, the biggest threat you're going to see here is flooding, okay? 4, 5, 6 inches of rain is possible with this storm, so get ready for it, especially if you live in those places that were affected by the very historic flooding that we had the other day. More rain is coming. It's not going to be as bad, but it is going to cause more flooding, and it's going to make the cleanup effort that much harder. So, that's what I think about Tennessee. Now, if you're in Middle Tennessee, still some flooding, okay? The further east you are, the better. But the further south and east you are, there's a little bit of an elevated tornado chance late tomorrow into Tuesday. So, and then in eastern Tennessee, it's just rain. It's just some rain, normal rain in Tennessee. That's what I think about Tennessee. Central Alabama. Somebody said Central Alabama. Flooding is possible, but Central Alabama specifically is probably one of the places that's farthest inland that will experience some of the tornadic activity that the storm will produce, okay? So if you're in Central Alabama, pretty much all of the state of Alabama, as this thing comes ashore, once the low pressure center is actually over Arkansas or western portions of Mississippi, watch that radar closely, because those feeder bands that are going into the storm are likely going to cause multiple tornadoes. And I think western and central Alabama are going to be right in the path of some of those tornadoes. So I don't know if they'll be big and bad, and it's not going to be like F5s and F4s all over the place, but they'll definitely cause damage, and they're definitely going to need to be watched. Splatter, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He says, if you are evacuating heading to Jacon... Oh, okay. Heading to Monroe, Louisiana is a good deal. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I think Splatter's down there, right? You're a trucker and you're down there. Like, you're actually experiencing this. Keep us updated, man, on what's going on with the traffic and stuff. I'm just trying to get caught up here. Wow, there are a lot of questions. First of all, Feral Dragon just became a channel member. You're super awesome. Thank you so much for that. Also, LaDonna D. Steele just became a high-risk member. Everybody say welcome to LaDonna. Devin Proctor became a member. Guys, thank you so much. Rob the Jobber became a member. Thank you guys so much. You guys are so awesome. That's awesome. I don't know what else to say. I'm very appreciative of your support. So Feral Dragon said, how big is the eye and how far out from the eye are the winds expected to go? So that's a good question. Right now, the eye isn't that big. It's definitely getting bigger. But since this is such a strong storm, we are experiencing probably what we would consider some sort of a pinhole effect in the center of the storm there, to where the eye isn't necessarily going to get too terribly big. But I would say what? Here, let me go. Can we see this thing on radar scope yet? Let me go to a different radar here and see if we can maybe see a little bit of. We can't. We can't. I've got a measurement tool somewhere, but I can't find it. I've got a measurement tool somewhere. I would say it's 10 or 20 or 30 miles wide right now. It doesn't really matter how wide it is right now because it's really not completely formed yet. See how it's kind of bouncing around and doing all this stuff? That whenever that thing becomes really organized, it's not going to move much. And that's when we'll worry about measuring the eye, okay? But anyways, the hurricane force winds are going to be in a pretty tight circle around it. And then the tropical storm force winds are going to be in a big circle around it like that. So I can show you another depiction of that. If we go to the web browser, and then we go back to the test models here. Let me show you the HWRF storm. This is sustained wind speeds that I'm getting ready to show you. So as you can tell, the hurricane force winds are very tightly packed around that center of circulation. All right, so when they actually come onto shore, we're going to be talking about an area of, that's maybe 50 to 100 miles wide. That's the sweet spot for seeing those, very strong winds. Now, the hurricane force winds will go out a little bit further than that, but you can see that the closer you get to the eye, the stronger the winds. And also, generally, the strongest part of the hurricane is going to be on the northeastern quadrant there. That northeastern quadrant, if anybody sees 150, 160 mile an hour wind gusts out of this thing, it's going to happen on the northeastern quadrant. And it's very unfortunate because that's actually the part of the storm that's going to be, directing itself right towards the southeastern coast of Louisiana. So as you can see, we're looking at hurricane force winds from, the Marsh Island all the way into the Lafayette region, and then possibly all the way over here into the New Orleans region, especially closer to the water. And yeah, I hope that answered your questions. Musings for the mind's eye. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Josh Richard, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I'm in Brandon, Mississippi with my family from New Orleans, evacuating here. How does it look for Brandon, Mississippi with 15 people in one house? Well, first of all, that's great that they evacuated. 15 people in one house. Well, it really depends on how big the house is, right? I guess your biggest problem that you're going to have is flash flooding. But let me just refresh my memory here and figure out where the heck Brandon, Mississippi is. I'm gonna actually have to Google it. Okay. All right, Brandon, Mississippi. Gather my bearings here. Okay, so you are once again right there. Pretty much everybody along Interstate 55. Oh man, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. This is what I'm supposed to be showing right now, but I show the wrong thing every time. Everybody along Interstate 55 in Mississippi is under the gun for some very significant flash flooding. So over there in Brandon, Mississippi, I would say that your number one thing that you should be worried about is going to be the flash flooding. Now, you will get some tropical storm wind gusts, but thankfully it's not going to be anything like what your family from New Orleans would have experienced if they wouldn't have evacuated. And they did the smart thing. They went north. Everybody else is going east and west. It's going to be much harder to escape the dangerous part of the storms by going east or west. The easiest way is to go north. Land kills hurricanes. All right? Put as much land between you and the ocean as possible, and you're going to be all right. Except for the tremendous amount of flash flooding that's going to happen out here. So, yeah, Brandon, Mississippi. If you guys live in a flood-prone area, you're going to need a big lifeboat, big raft, 15 people. But I think that's the biggest problem you're going to have is flooding. Probably some power outages because of down trees and stuff like that, but it'll be pretty minimal compared to what's happening towards the south. Okay.
Yeah, John, this is Carl, KSRE-CFG. I'm an NCS with just like
All right.
Tony with the voice over IP hurricane.
So we have 5,000 people in here, guys. Thank you so much for dropping in and watching this live stream. We're getting ready to talk about all the stuff that's going into making this storm stronger here in a second. We're also going to take a look at the hurricane reconnaissance data. That's right. We have hurricane hunters flying in airplanes into the hurricane right now, and they're sending back data to us, and we're going to look at that and analyze it and see what the next update from the National Hurricane Center is probably going to look like. But first of all, I have to do this. All right, since there's so many people here, please hit the like button. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And if you like what you see here, guys, this is what I do. I talk about the weather on YouTube every single day. When there's severe weather going on, I don't care if it's a blizzard. I don't care if it's a tornado outbreak. I don't care if it's a tropical storm. I don't care if it's a hurricane. I'm on here day in and day out updating you on the storm, okay? We saw this one coming 5 or 6 days ago. Where were you? Not subscribed, okay? But make sure you slap that subscribe button if you like what you see here. And always, I go live during extremely severe weather events. But every morning I post a weather discussion video, and I try to talk about as many places in the United States as possible. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. That's the number one thing you can do to support the channel is like the video and subscribe. Additionally, share this on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that, or send it in a text message to a family or family member or friend that lives in the affected area. All those things help push this in the algorithm too, that will allow this to come up on people's recommended feeds that really need to see it. Okay. I am broadcasting to you from the wonderful mountains of Eastern Kentucky. This is my weather studio. I call it the Storm Seeking Situation Room, or the Storm Seeking Situation Sitter area. I don't know what I call it, but this is where I monitor the weather, and I happen to also live stream it here on YouTube. You hear the fan going in the background. It's because it gets really warm in here. As you can tell, I got big monitors behind me. I got big monitors in front of me, on the side of me. But it helps me be able to absorb all the information in real time, kind of compress it, and then spit it out to you in a way that's really easy to understand. That's my job here. And we have a lot of cool things to look at here in a second. It looks like right now we only have one tornado warning in effect. It's for Murray and Nobles in Pipeston counties in Minnesota. There's a big tornado outbreak going on, and I may talk about that here in a second. But I just want to make sure that I refresh myself here. Everyone, welcome our new channel member. Probably going to take clips of this and use in a video for later, so. Oh, additionally, one more thing. I'm sorry. I know you guys hate this. I hate it too whenever I'm watching somebody and I'm trying to get the information and you just won't shut up, plugging it and saying subscribe. I don't want to subscribe. One more thing, all right? One more thing, and then I promise I'm going to leave you alone. Go back to the web browser here. This is the number one way to get in touch with me. Okay, this is my Twitter page, Ryan Hall Y'all, at Ryan Hall Y'all. In fact, all of my social media is Ryan Hall Y'all. Please go to Twitter right now and follow me. Please go to Twitter right now and follow me. I share everything. Okay, if there's anything going on in the weather world, a tornado, a dust devil, a snowflake, or a massive hurricane, you're going to see every single bit of that piece of weather phenomenon on my Twitter page. I follow every storm chaser. I'm friends with a lot of storm chaser. I'm a storm chaser myself. So make sure you go follow me on Twitter. And it's also the best place to get, YouTube sucks at sending out notifications. So if you follow me on here, you'll see whenever I post about upcoming live streams and stuff like that. And obviously, I always update you on just general weather events pretty much daily over there too. So a lot of you guys are following. Thank you guys. And if you have time, go ahead and share the stream on Twitter too. Look at all these wonderful people that just followed me. You get a shout out if you follow me. I'm going to refresh one more time. Go do it. And then I promise we're going to get right back into talking about the weather. Hey, Nightbot's working again. All right, I'm refreshing. Yeah. Thank you guys. Seriously, thank you for all the followers. And, the whole point here is for me to get a big community of people on Twitter that live all across the United States. And that way, during severe weather events, you guys, if you're able to, you can send in storm reports to me or pictures and videos of what's going on. And then I'll be able to share them in front of the 20,000 people or so that follow me. It's just Twitter's a really good platform for that kind of stuff. So make sure you go over there and follow me, and also follow some of these storm chasers and people that are risking their lives out there trying to get pictures and videos for us. All right, I'm done. I'm done plugging. Thanks for listening to me. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna get right back into talking about Hurricane Ida here, but there's a lot of people in the chat right now that are asking me to check in on the tornado threat there in South Dakota. So I'm going to briefly talk about that, and then we're going to start back over and talk about this hurricane that's coming in, okay? Let's go to the radar view. So we currently have a tornado warning for Nobles County in Minnesota. We have a tornado warning for Murray, Nobles, and Pipeston County in Minnesota, and both of those expire by 7 and 6:30 p.m. my time, Eastern time. That's going to be different for Central time. But as you can see, we had this big rotating storm up here that actually dropped a tornado or three behind it, and now it's turning into like a mesoscale convective system. So if you live in Chandler, Lake Wilson, Slayton, Curry, Westbrook, any of these places up here in South Dakota, I'm sorry, that's Minnesota. It's really close to South Dakota. You need to be taking shelter now, okay? The actual part of the storm that's rotating now is a little bit further north than the tornado warning is. So I would say the National Weather Service is very soon going to issue a new tornado warning for the northern portion of this storm. And once again, there's very likely a very strong rotating mesocyclone with possibly a funnel cloud and a tornado heading right towards the town of Slayton in Minnesota, okay? So you got to watch this one closely. Now, everybody else south of here in Wilmont, down there towards Adrian, Worthington, Ransom, Sibley, all these places, Ashton, all these places on the Minnesota and Iowa border need to be watching out, not just for tornadoes, but this is a very strong mesoscale convective system that's pushing a lot of air out in front of it, and it's going to be causing a big time wind problem here within a little bit. Also, new tornado warning right there on that part of the storm, too. So we're expecting to see little spin-up tornadoes on here. And, that's pretty much all I can say about it right now. I think that the vast majority of everybody that's watching is here for the hurricane updates. So if we do get another tornado, a reported tornado warning, I'll keep my eye on it, I promise. I will go back and I'll cover that. But for now, I do need to go on and continue covering the hurricane. But just to top this off, okay, just in case anybody's watching that's from here, if you're in Cottonwood, Murray, Nobles, or Pipeston counties in Minnesota, you are under a tornado warning until 7 p.m. Eastern time. Convert that to your time zone. Also, we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings out there, and since we have so many people watching, I'm sure some people would be interested to know that we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Huron County in Michigan, for Lyon, Osceola, and Cottonwood counties in Iowa, and Bay County in Michigan, and Bertie and Hertford counties in North Carolina, and also Pima County in Arizona, and Baraga County in Michigan, and Gray Triet and Nobles and Rock counties in Michigan. So lots of severe weather going on right now, and that's just part of it, man. Whenever there's a catastrophic hurricane barreling down on the southeastern portion of the United States, that's where your attention has to go. So unfortunately, I am going to be leaving the tornado now, and I'm going to go back to talking about the hurricane, because also that's what the title of the stream is, and we've got a lot of people pouring in, and if they're thinking they're going to get an update on the hurricane, and I'm sitting here talking about South Dakota, they're not going to stick around long. So we want to try to help as many people as possible. Okay. All right, let me pull up Radar Omega here once again. We're really going to get into it here. We're going to go through the forecast again. Thank you everybody for following me on Twitter and sending me messages and stuff. You are a fantastic example of ADHD at its wonderful best. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. And thank you everybody that's sending pictures and videos. Please continue to do that. If you can, at any time, if there's ever a storm that's going by your house and you're bored and you can safely do so and you can take a picture of it and send it to me on Twitter, I promise I will look at that photo and I will cherish it. I love seeing all the weather that's going on around the world. My dream is to one day have a network of live HD camera systems in every state, every city, every portion of the United States that experiences severe weather, just so I can sit here and monitor it all at the same time. But yeah.
Hurricane Ida is moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. A hurricane warning has been issued from Intracoastal City to the mouth of Pearl River. Monitor 146.82 repeater for updates. The hurricane VOI.
Just give me 1 second to regroup myself.
7 a.m. Sunday morning.
We're getting ready to get right back into the fast-paced forecasting. So this is good. This is also going to be a good time for you guys to share this because I'm getting ready to go through everything once again. I'm going to go through everything once more. All of the live satellite data, the reconnaissance data from the aircraft. I'm going to go through the models, everything, just like I did, for the first half of this stream. And then that'll probably be it. We'll do another Q&A session, and then that'll be it. So make sure you share this right now. Let's try to get as many people in here as possible, so that we can get all this information out to the people that it's necessary, the people that need to hear it. Bear with me here. Not yet. It's not time for you to sleep yet. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So we are going to restart here. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Ryan Hall Y'all channel, guys. Thank you, every single one of the 4,512 people that are here right now. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are at the #1 source of live weather news on YouTube, okay? The reason I do this is because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have cable TV anymore. A lot of people just don't like watching the news. They don't like the way it's set up. They don't like, the way that it works, okay? So I'm here on YouTube with a little bit more of an in-depth and relaxed take of live weather coverage, but I'm still able to give you, just as adequate of coverage as anybody else. Okay, we've got all the tools here. We've got everything that you could possibly need to track this storm, and I'm able to also interact with the audience here and take questions and stuff. So this is a very unique experience in the world of weather broadcasting, and I'm glad you guys are here for it. If you like what you see here, if you want to see more of this, and if there's ever a storm in your area in the future, if you're not from Louisiana and you're watching right now, make sure you like and subscribe so you can always see my live streams and videos when they go up. Okay, so this is a live emergency briefing on the upcoming major hurricane that will make landfall in Louisiana tomorrow. Okay, that's what we're talking about right now, is this bad boy right here. Let's go over to the radar view. This is Hurricane Ida as it is barreling to the northwest towards Louisiana. Okay, let's switch over to WSV3 real quick. This is another view that we can really see that eye really well. Okay, this is rapidly intensifying. You can see those hot towers going up around the center of circulation. They're convecting up into the atmosphere, flattening out. It looks like little explosions around the center, and then they're kind of fizzling out and then wrapping into that inner eye wall. And that's just, once again, another sign of rapid intensification here from our big time storm, Hurricane Ida. And once again, those outer bands, the outer section of the storm is just now getting ready to move into the southeastern portions of Louisiana. So, you know, the sky's getting ready to get dark out there. It's getting ready to start raining, and that is the first portion of the storm. However, it's likely that this part, the actual bad part, the hurricane, won't make landfall, won't come onto shore until possibly 1 or 2 p.m. tomorrow, maybe even later than that. So that's what we're looking at right now with Hurricane Ida. Also, we have this new view that we can look at. This is showing the infrared satellite in a 3D version. And you can see right there towards the center of the storm, we have some really tall clouds popping up, okay? That's deep convection around the center of circulation, hot towers that are wrapping around that eye wall. And that's exactly what you don't want to see if you don't want to see a rapidly intensifying hurricane, okay? And that's what we're looking at right now. You look at this. We can look down into the eye of the storm here on Radar Omega, which is just absolutely incredible. So that's what's coming towards you there in Louisiana. If you're in New Orleans, you know, if you look outside right now, you're not going to be able to see a giant red and blue cloud coming towards you, but I promise you it is there, okay? You just can't see it from your level. This big, very dangerous storm is coming right towards southeastern Louisiana, and it is almost too late to do anything about it now, okay? Evacuations should have happened yesterday, okay? Possibly even the day before that. From what I'm being told, the interstate, especially Interstate 10, is still being backed up pretty bad. There's a lot of people trying to get out of New Orleans, and they're going west or they're going east, and the storm's starting in a couple of hours, okay? If you wait until later on this evening, you're going to already be dealing with some, you know, big-time wind gusts and some really heavy rain. It's just not going to be a situation where you want to be in. You don't want to get stuck on the interstate during the storm, okay? So if you are one of the very brave people, but you know, possibly misinformed people that are riding out the storm here in central or southeastern Louisiana, make sure you stay tuned here with me, okay? Because I know there's still some people that are going to be down there. Not everybody's going to get out. I understand that. But if you are one of the people that are going to be staying down there, stay with me. I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow from possibly very early in the morning until very early in the morning the next day, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. We're going to be live tracking this thing. And oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet. We are going to have a live storm chaser down there too. So we have our friend, his name is Vince Welty. He is actually a professional storm chaser. He's worked some hurricanes in the past, and he's worked a lot of tornado outbreaks. He is driving right now down to the extreme southeastern portion of Louisiana, and we'll be able to talk with him on the phone. We're going to have a live feed from him, and we're going to be able to get updates from him as the storm moves in. So we're going to have real ground truth there in southeastern Louisiana from a live storm chaser on the ground, and that way we can tell you guys exactly what's going to be heading up the coast closer to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and all these places that are a little bit more populated towards the north and towards the east, okay? So this is, once again, make sure you subscribe and like and all that stuff if you want to see that. Now, this is another thing that I want to talk about. Let me go back over to WSV3. The period of which rapid intensification can happen is really going to be within the next couple of hours, okay? It's this portion of the ocean that the storm's over right now. That's the warmest, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some sea surface temperatures up here right next to Louisiana that are really warm, 85, 86, 87 degrees. But the problem is as soon as these clouds come over and it starts raining really hard, these shallow waters are going to cool down pretty quickly. What's not going to cool down is the 60 to 70 foot deep area of 30 degrees Celsius or higher temperatures in the water right here. So it's really these next few hours that are going to tell us whether or not this storm is actually going to become a Category 4 or a Category 5 storm. If it doesn't become a high-end Category 3 storm by the time it gets to the other side here of that deep area of rich and warm water, then I would say that high-end Category 3, low-end Category 4 is all we're going to be dealing with here. However, if it comes out the other side as a high-end Category 3 already, we could still be looking at a possible Category 5 landfall here in southeastern Louisiana. So that is something that we have to keep an eye on. We're going to be watching every frame of this satellite image tonight and tomorrow, and it's very important that we keep up with the intensity of it as we go forward. Now, of course, we have to talk about the National Hurricane Center. Familiarize yourself with the National Hurricane Center if you haven't already. Okay, this is this is probably the best place to get hurricane information from. We do expect this to become a major hurricane right here and then make landfall sometime after 1 p.m. tomorrow as a major hurricane with possibly winds of around 130 to 140 miles an hour somewhere in southeastern Louisiana. It will maintain its strength as a hurricane and make it to Baton Rouge around 1 a.m. on Monday. 1 p.m. on Monday, it'll be a tropical storm there across the Mississippi River between Louisiana and Mississippi, and then a tropical depression all the way up through northern Mississippi into western Tennessee, and then also into Kentucky and West Virginia. Lots of flooding can be expected on this side, and then everything, hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes, everything is possible down here. So that's what we're dealing with as far as the latest National Hurricane Center update goes. Let's zoom out here. Let's look at the whole web browser. We are going to get another look at our flight. Okay, this is Mission 10. This is Mission 10 into Hurricane Ida. This is a live look at right now. Hurricane hunting planes are flying through Hurricane Ida right now, and they're gathering data for us. And let's see what they've got, okay? So the lowest pressure that they've recorded right now in the center of the storm is 974 millibars. 974 millibars. That's what they actually recorded right there in the center, and they're getting ready to do another pass right now. So let's see here. Yep. Maximum height standard level is, so there was a 974 millibars is the lowest pressure they recorded, and also a flight level inbound wind of around 105 miles an hour. Okay. So we don't have all the data yet. We don't have enough to know exactly what the winds are like on the surface here, but we do know that so far 104.7 miles an hour, that's going to be the highest winds that they've recorded at flight level. Now here's what they're doing. Okay, so they went through the storm this way, they turned around down here, they're getting every angle of the storm, they're going to come through it this way, and they're going to come back around, they're going to cross through that center multiple times before they have to go back and refuel. But more than likely what we're going to see happen is we've got a 974 millibar low pressure system here. When they cross through that center area of circulation again, it'll probably be a 973, okay? And then maybe even a 970 before this mission is set and done. And then by the time they have recorded enough wind data to tell us that, it's... I'm sorry, all the different sides of the storm, once they've actually sampled every single quadrant of the storm, we'll be able to tell what kind of winds we're experiencing. I would be surprised if we're not up to 110, 115 mile an hour right now. I would say by the time this mission is over, once again, I would be very surprised if we didn't have a Category 3 storm on our hand. Very surprised. Let me throw on the infrared satellite here. Yeah. So really, it's whenever this plane makes it up into this portion of the storm, that's where I'm most interested to see, where some of those stronger wind gusts are. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that layer. We're going to keep a very close eye on this. We do have another mission. We've got Mission 11 into Ida, which is still on the way. This plane took off from Texas not too long ago, and now it is flying into Ida. So we're going to keep updated on that as well. This is live. This is updating live right now. Try to see some of these winds that it's captured. 80 miles an hour. 75 miles an hour. I really do think that once they're up here in the northeastern quadrant, they're going to sample some more intense winds. So that's what we are looking at right now. Let's go back to the all view real quick. Load up radar scope once again. And I'm going to go through Twitter here, and we'll see if there's any new developments as far as storm reports goes or anything like that. Give me just a second. A lot of stuff on Twitter right now is about the tornadoes. That's completely understandable. So the eye is warming again with hot towers on the western side. If this persists, more rapid intensification like we saw this morning will resume. We'll see, though, as the eye warming process hasn't been as smooth this afternoon. I agree with that assessment there. Oh, look at this. At this. This satellite loop. Tell me that does not look like a Category 3 hurricane. It has that look. You know what I mean? Once again, if this thing wasn't going as fast as what it's going, I'm on the page that this could have been the most significant, the most the strongest storm that has ever happened in the Northern Hemisphere. Like, we are so lucky that this thing is going as fast as it's going, because it's just rapidly intensifying, and it's moving fast at the same time. But look at all the outflow coming out from this side. Nothing impeding it here. So lots of stuff going on Twitter. We're still looking at gridlock traffic here. This was 4 hours ago. This is an aerial shot just a little while ago near Slidell in Louisiana, showing the evacuation traffic. This is the 1012 interchange. So I guess this is this going north? Is this going north or east or west? Assuming it's not going north. But it's still bumper to bumper out there. If you're trying to get away from the hurricane. Recon has now found extrapolated pressure under 970 millibars now. All right, we got to look at that. Web browser. Go to tropicaltidbits.com. This is a good website if you are interested in keeping up with some of this stuff yourself. Yeah, so they are already experiencing some of those lower pressure signatures on Mission 11, let alone over here on Mission 10, okay? We've dipped down to well under 974 at this point. And the flight level winds, too, are also cranking at around, over 100 miles an hour at one point of their journey there. So this is a little lagged behind our live reconnaissance tracker, I think. But I don't see that little ticker there for the 974 or 970 millibar information packet that we just got. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We don't want to spend too much time talking about it, because really, I mean, we'll be able to see all this data once it's done. So I don't want to harp on it too long. Alfie, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Hey, Ryan, big fan of what you do. I just wanted to give you some info on the tornadoes in South Dakota. I live south of Sioux Falls. Pretty significant damage in Lenox and Harrisburg. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, that's that big wall of rain in the mesoscale convective system that I was talking about. And there was a reported tornado down there earlier. A rain-wrapped tornado just crossed Highway 17 2 minutes ago on the east side of Lenox in front of me. So I'm sure that there is a lot of damage down there. Keep me updated, man. And if you can do so safely, send me pictures and stuff on Twitter, and I will share them here on the stream. All right, guys, let's go through this weather model one more time. Let's talk about timing here, okay? This is expected to be a Category 3 or possibly a Category 4 hurricane by 2 a.m. this morning, or 2 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. We are then going to expect that it either rapidly intensifies from there or goes through its bombogenesis cycle and kind of flattens out a little bit. The HWRF suggests that it might flatten out a little bit and then continue to make landfall as a Category 3 or a low-end Category 4. With the wind gusts maybe around 150 miles an hour, but with maximum sustained winds around 130 miles an hour. The landfall, according to this model, is maybe going to happen either sometime between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., somewhere in this region of Louisiana, okay? That's south and west of downtown New Orleans. New Orleans is right here. Landfall is going to happen south and west of there. Now, the bad news here is that we've got all these hurricane and tropical storm force winds that are wrapping around that center of circulation. And look at this. Literally, it's blowing the water in the perfect way to fill up these levees and dams and canals over here. And it's just not going to be a pretty sight, guys. The flooding over there with just 10 feet of storm surge is going to be really bad. And then as this storm comes onto shore, the winds are going to weaken, and we're still going to see tropical storm to hurricane force wind gusts all the way up into northern Louisiana and southern and central portions of Mississippi, but the sustained winds will be much lower at this point. Mezzo Dave, thank you for the super chat. He says, Patricia increased by 120 miles an hour in 24 hours. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Whenever I talk about how this is maybe looking weaker than it was yesterday, you got to remember that yesterday, some of these models were showing 170 mile an hour winds. Okay. Even just 130 mile an hour winds is going to cause catastrophic damage. People still need to leave Louisiana as fast as they can. And don't even pack, just run. But 170 miles an hour, that's a different story. And, you know, we're getting into a more realistic phase of the forecasting model segment of this, lead up to the storm. And it's still, the fact of the matter is it's still showing a catastrophic storm with a Category 3 or Category 4, very likely. And then I do want to show you one more thing here. U.S. regions, let's look at the East Coast as a whole. U.S. regions east. A lot of people are wondering what the impacts are going to be in their neck of the woods. They don't live in Louisiana. And really, if you live anywhere here that's in the red or the browns, expect widespread damaging flooding, okay? This is going to be a very prolific flooding event for a lot of people along the Ohio River, and especially down here in western Tennessee and the entire state of Mississippi. A lot of these places are just going to be like buried in water. So that's going to be the main threat here for the inland areas, especially over here in the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic regions. Flooding. And there is one more thing I got to talk about here that doesn't actually have to deal with the landfalling hurricane, and that's going to be the tornado possibility. So once again, I'm only going to talk about this, one more time this evening. As this storm makes landfall, the lower level jet stream winds are going to be cranking at around 70 knots on the southeastern quadrant of this bowling ball of a trough down here that's negatively tilted and ejecting off to the northeast. This is going to be the prime area for tornadoes to occur. Okay, tornadoes are likely going to occur. Numerous ones are likely going to occur in Mississippi and Alabama and possibly even south central or southern middle Tennessee tomorrow. I'm sorry, this is Tuesday. Tuesday in the morning through pretty much the whole day Tuesday, I would watch out. And that's going to work its way into middle Tennessee and possibly even portions of eastern Tennessee with the severe weather threat there later on Tuesday evening. But other than that, everybody else can just expect big time rain. Big time rain. That's going to be the biggest threat here. This is a big storm and it's going to affect a lot of people. A lot of people. No doubt about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tornado situation again. We have just a bunch of tornado warnings out here. Go to the correlation coefficient. So we currently have multiple tornado warnings right now in Minnesota. Cottonwood, Jackson, and Murray counties are under tornado warnings, and Nobles County is under tornado warnings, okay? And Cottonwood and Murray County are under multiple tornado warnings from separate storms. So this is happening live right now. We are experiencing a little tornado outbreak north and east of Sioux Falls in Minnesota. There are likely multiple tornadoes down right now. If you live in Westbrook, Heron Lake, Brewster, Jeffers, Windham, Lamberton, Springfield, Comfrey, Defer, Mountain Lake, any of these places in Minnesota, you need to be taking shelter right now, okay? Look at this. This is like a mesoscale convective vortex now spinning around. It's like an inland hurricane almost that's kind of moving towards the area there that's near Comfrey, Minnesota. And look at all those winds. Even if you don't get a tornado out of this, we're experiencing possibly 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts on the front side of these storms as they work their way into the Minnesota or the Westbrook and Windham areas. So once again, multiple tornado warnings right now. But I think the main thing that we got to watch out for is just the giant wall of wind. A giant wall of wind is moving through into these areas, and it's likely going to cause significant damage. In fact, we already have a very significant damage report coming in from south of Sioux Falls. We just had a commenter in the chat that was talking about how there was a lot of damage everywhere. And right now, we had a report come in that said rain wrap tornado just crossed the Highway 17 2 minutes ago on the east side, and it was right in front of me. So another bad thing about this is rain-wrapped tornadoes, man. Those are not good. You can't see them coming. It just looks like a normal storm's heading towards you. You hear the thunder, you hear the lightning, you might see a shelf cloud. Next thing you know, there's a tornado hiding in that rain. So if you live anywhere down here in southwestern Minnesota, please take shelter now. Get to the most interior room of your home. That can be the basement or an interior bathroom. If you happen to have some bicycle helmets, especially if you have children, like maybe you got to go by the garage to get to your innermost bathroom, and you've got some bicycle helmets in there, or maybe some other sort of helmets, football helmets, whatever. Go ahead and throw them on. Okay, throw them on before you go into your shelter, into your safe spot there, because it could end up saving your life. When it comes to tornadoes, the number one thing that kills people is not just the wind. It's not the tornado itself. It's the debris from your house falling on you or from other people's houses flying into your house. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. Big time tornado threat right now in southwestern Minnesota. This is heading towards the Rochester and Minneapolis area. So keep an eye on the radar. Keep an eye on the radar. That could end up being a very serious situation. Go back and take a look at our hurricane here. I see some people asking questions like, how can you see a tornado on radar? What does it look like? That requires a little bit of a lengthy explanation, at least in my opinion. So I'm gonna save that one. Come back to another live stream, and we will talk about that in more in depth. But there is definitely a way to talk about that, to actually see a tornado on radar. Okay, so once again, I have to take a break. I have to take a real quick break, and I'll be back. And once I get back, I'm going to do another session of Q&A. All right, it is currently almost 7 p.m. on the East Coast here, and I plan on taking this all the way out to 8 p.m. I've gotten all the information out that I think that I need to. I think I've harped on a lot of the things multiple times. So now, if there's anything that I've left out and you think that I can explain it for you, go ahead and send me a question, and I'll answer those as soon as I come back. Okay? Just a second.
Repeater for update. Today is Saturday, August 28th.
For waiting on me. Been going here for 2 hours now. Had to take a little bit of a longer break than the first time. By the way, just a heads up, it's time for baby Echo to go to sleep. My wife is putting Echo to sleep, and the nursery is right next to the weather room here. So you might hear a baby crying in the background, and if you do, he's okay. He don't want to go to sleep, man. He wants to watch the stream, but he's got to go to sleep. He's on a schedule. He's on a routine. Can't get him out of that. Not even for Hurricane Ida. Okay, so basically, I've already went through all of the model data and all of that stuff. So basically, now we're now casting. Okay, for the next hour or so, my job now is just going to be to monitor this storm as it continues to move north and west, and I'm going to be keeping a closer eye on the chat. Okay, hopefully we've got some moderators in here. It looks like we got Nightbot and Half-Life. Is that all we got? Half-Life, man, I'm sorry. We need some more chat moderators. If anybody is interested in that, Half-Life, he's a machine. Like, he can take care of it himself, I'm sure. But I would like to have just a couple more, just in case he needs to go take a break. So if anybody's interested in being a chat moderator, we will almost certainly need them tomorrow. Please reach out to me on Twitter, and we'll work something out. Okay. We will work something out. Mr. Wrong Doing Right, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. He says, awesome setup. Don't worry about babies, man. It's a part of life. Keep being a dad. That's another unique situation here from the Storm Seeking Situation Room. You know, if you're watching the news, there's not a nursery right next door. So, you never know what you're going to get here on the Ryan Hall Y'all YouTube channel. But yeah, reach out to me on Twitter at Ryan Hall Y'all. Once again, that's if you have any questions for me at all, that's the best place to reach out to me at. Really Rick says, Ryan, if a hurricane has 100-mile-an-hour winds and it's moving at 16 miles an hour, does that mean that the winds are really 116 miles per hour? No. Rotational speed is not the same as directional speed when it comes to hurricanes. Okay, so the winds that are circulating around the center of circulation there, those are the winds, all right? But like the motion of the storm, at least as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't have any effect on the actual, wind gusts there. And it might have a little bit of effect, especially if there's a lot of momentum in a situation like this, where a storm's going pretty quick. On the northeast side, for example, on this side over here, that's generally the strongest part of the storm. And it might have something to do with the directional, proponent of the storm that's adding to the wind speeds. But most likely it has to do with that northeastern portion of the low pressure system being the quadrant of the deep area of low pressure that pulls in the most energy. Okay, a lot of that deep convection gets wrapped around on that side, and that's where a lot of the heaviest winds are. And it doesn't have really anything to do with the direction of the storm as much as it does with just the physics and kinematics that go into making low pressure systems. But yeah, this is what we're looking at right now. 3D view of Hurricane Ida as it approaches Louisiana there. And you can see the eye isn't completely closed off, okay? Well, you know, it's rapidly intensifying, but a lot of these thunderstorms aren't making it completely around the center of circulation. We'll see what happens with this particular set of thunderstorms. But these big hot towers, you want to see those literally make a full, circumnavigation there around the center of circulation in order to see the kind of intensification that we're expecting to see. Thankfully, though, this thing's going a lot faster than what we thought it was going to go. And like I've been saying for the whole stream, if this was going any bit slower, this would be a much worse situation. I'm not saying that it's not going to be a bad situation with the way that it is, but I think that it could have been a lot worse if this thing was going slower. It's still bad enough to where I still recommend that everybody in Southeastern Louisiana needs to get the heck out of there. And hopefully most of you have. But once again, if you are staying, if you have to stay, if you messed up and decided to stay, I'm going to be here for you, okay? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, like this video and all that stuff so you don't miss what's coming up. Go over to WSV3. You can see some of those hot towers and some of that really deep convection really starting to pop up now here on the western side of that eye wall. We're going to watch that, and we're going to see if it actually makes it and wraps all the way around. And if that happens, then we are in Category 3 town easily. Cat 3 town easily. So the latest reconnaissance data in Ida shows a faster rate of deepening than earlier today. The current rate of deepening inferred from the past recon is roughly 2.5 millibars per hour. Really. And that is rapid intensification. That's not just bombogenesis. That's double bombogenesis. So this thing is deepening. It still has the opportunity. It still has the opportunity to really get going.
Stations here.
Okay, so here's our storm chaser. Posted a live update here. Give me just a second. I got to work out some of these bugs with the stream before tomorrow. So this was about 3 hours ago, but let's listen in on our storm chaser, Vince Welty.
This town is hurricane ready. This is great to see. Looks like most of the homes are boarded up. It looks like everybody's prepared here for the incoming hurricane, Hurricane Ida, which is officially projected to be a strong Category 3 at landfall sometime tomorrow. Expecting deteriorating conditions here from tonight into tomorrow. We'll be live streaming this event, so be sure to follow along here for the ride. We'll be analyzing some models here to determine if we're going to be riding this out down here in Huma or heading back up a little bit north. Storm chase.
So yeah, that's Vince. By the way, if you're just now tuning in, you didn't hear me talk about him earlier. Vince is going to be live streaming for us, and we're going to be able to have his live stream the entire time that he's down there. And it's his goal. His goal is going to be to put himself in the strongest part of the storm. Not only will we have his live stream, but we're going to be able to call him every once in a while and get live updates from him there. So this will probably be one of the best places to get real ground truth, real-time data tomorrow, as you know, he'll be out there measuring the wind speeds and all that stuff. So give it up for Vince. And also, if you're following me on Twitter, I am currently liking and retweeting that video right there. Go follow Vince too. He puts a lot of time and money and effort, and he puts his life on the line to go out and chase these storms, and he is allowing us to share his work here on the stream. So very, very cool of him to do that. Peter, thank you for the super chat. He says, heading to Memphis Tuesday and Wednesday for an anniversary. Is there still time to cancel and go elsewhere? What do you think? Plans beer in Graceland before going to St. Louis. You know, if you plan on doing a lot of stuff outside, I think, you know, you're not going to be able to. However, I don't think that it's such a terrible situation in Memphis to where you should avoid that area. You know what I mean? There's definitely going to be a lot of rain, probably a lot of flooding. It's not going to be a very nice weather. In fact, it'll be really bad weather, but not so bad to where I would say get the heck out of there or something like that. I would keep your trip and just try to make the best out of it. A lot of people are asking if this is going to be a Category 5 storm. Is this going to be a Category 5 storm? Well, the answer is still unclear, okay? I was a little bit more confident yesterday that this was going to make it to Category 5 than I am today, and that's simply because of how fast this storm is moving, okay? This thing is going super fast, and it's approaching Louisiana rapidly, okay? But at the same time, it is rapidly intensifying, okay? So there's a lot of different factors that go into making a Category 5 hurricane. Am I saying that it's impossible for it to, deepen down and become a Category 5 hurricane before it gets to Louisiana? No, but it's definitely less likely now that we know how fast it's going. But this doesn't change anything, okay? A Category 4 hurricane or a high-end Category 3 hurricane making landfall in this area is still going to cause catastrophic wind damage. It's still going to cause flooding like crazy. And it's still a good enough reason to get the heck out of New Orleans and all of these southeastern towns in Louisiana, Port Sulphur, Houma, all these places. It's going to be bad there, okay? I don't care if it's Category 5 or not. Especially if it ends up being a Category 4 hurricane. Maybe it's only a couple, 10 or 20 mile an hour winds that separate this storm being categorized as a 4 or a 5. That's not going to mean anything if you live down there, okay? Those 20 mile an hour winds, like it's still going to be devastating for you, and it's still going to be life threatening, and it's still going to, warrant you getting out harm's way. So make sure you follow all of your local officials' guidance and recommendations there. We got a lot of people sending in photos and stuff on Twitter. Let's show some of that. So Bruce, let's see here. Bruce Williams says this is damage near Lenox, South Dakota. Guys, if you can ever get storm damage photos or pictures of storms or anything safely, and you can send them to me on Twitter, please do so. I'll share them with everybody. So this is from the tornado stuff that we had earlier in South Dakota and Minnesota earlier. If you want to send me stuff, follow me at Ryan Hall, y'all. At Ryan Hall, y'all. Question: if the hurricane is shifting slightly east, what would cause it to go further north of North Georgia? Or further north of North Georgia. I'm not sure what your question is, honestly. Let's go to WSV3. So, are you talking about? So I'm assuming you live in northern Georgia, and you're wondering, like, since this has shifted a little bit to the east, shouldn't that bring the storm closer to you? And the answer to that isn't. It's not very straightforward. Okay, if this goes east, it's still gonna, not hit that secondary disturbance that's gonna cause it to turn until it gets up here. If it goes west, it's still not going to hit it until it comes up there. So, like, really the path of the storm after it makes that right-hand turn due to its the interference with a frontal boundary that's moving out of the north isn't going to be changed much based off of where it hits down here, okay? Northern Georgia, I don't think you have anything at all to worry about it other than a marginal tornado threat possibly Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'm talking marginal. Marginal. Any update from the Hurricane Hunter sites? Let me actually look at that. Do Mission 11. So Mission 11 still hasn't gotten there yet. Go look at that. Mission 11 is still, they're dancing around. They're going to get there sooner or later. But Mission 10, Mission 10 has been through this storm in multiple different ways. And they have officially recorded 970 millibars. 970 millibars. That's a big time lowering of pressure. Look at that, 974 millibars, 970. I saw somewhere on Twitter that maybe they recorded a 968 at some point. That is a strong storm, and it is getting stronger and stronger. The lower that number, if you guys are not familiar with how this works. The lower that number, the lower the pressure, the stronger this storm is. And 970, you know, once it gets into the 960s and then eventually the 950s, we're talking about a major hurricane. It is getting close. It is getting close to Louisiana. Yes, people always tell me to remind people, if you're evacuating right now, don't forget your pets. And, you know, I get the sentiment there, and I get why everybody's, you know, asking me to do that. But it's kind of crazy to me that, do people really forget their pets? I couldn't imagine, like, having to evacuate getting my dog. Oh. When are you thinking this is going to make landfall? I believe that this storm will make landfall more than likely sometime tomorrow between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. Now, I know that's a big spread there, but the thing is it really just depends on how much this thing slows down. We think that it's going to slow down a little bit tonight, but it's going pretty fast right now. If it slows down tonight, then I do think that maybe 5 p.m. If it keeps barreling on towards Louisiana, though, maybe noon or 1 p.m. tomorrow. Is the eye going to pass over Houma or Morgan City? More than likely not. The eye will actually go south of you in those areas, and that's actually pretty bad because that puts you right in smack dab in some of the strongest winds, and also some of the strongest, wind storm surge from this storm. Ryan, is Ida able to slow down like you initially thought it would? And if so, what could cause that to happen? Well, the massive expansion of the storm here itself could cause it to slow down. Okay, so like literally the central area of low pressure is having to carve a path for itself as it travels through the atmosphere. And the more, obstacles there are ahead of it, the harder it is going to be for it to do that. So that might slow it down a mile or two an hour or so if we see more convection happening on this side. Another thing that might make it slow down is if it starts spinning more, okay? If this actually becomes stronger, a deeper low pressure system, the more rotations we get around that center of circulation, the more time it takes for those hot towers and deep convection to really grasp themselves and be able to maintain their strength around the center of circulation. So it kind of has to slow down to allow them to do that. Additionally, there is a really a nice area of outflow that's coming out from this storm here, okay? And this right here might create a situation where there's some locked-in air on the northern side of the storm that kind of creates a boundary that like maybe a little bit hindrances the forward momentum that it has, but for the most part, there's not a lot that can slow this thing down or speed it up. It's kind of a mystery to a lot of meteorologists as to why it's going as fast as it is right now. None of the models saw it. The National Hurricane Center didn't see it. We were expecting it to go a lot slower because there is a little upper level low over here that's kind of guiding this thing, and there's some high pressure out there to the east. But for the most part, there's no big weather systems that are driving or steering this thing in any certain direction. There's no frontal boundary, or there's no secondary low pressure system up here that's kind of drawing it towards it. This thing is just going fast on its own. Once again, that's a good thing. We should be very thankful for that. But that is going to cause it to have less time to rapidly intensify as it moves up towards the coast of Louisiana. We just got a new update from the hurricane hunters. So this plane is now making its second approach. Okay, so it's probably going to fly down like this, then come back and intercept the center once again. And buddy, if this thing is showing a 966 millibar low pressure system at this point, I'm locking it in. That we're still going to see a Category 4 or Category 5. Because that thing is deepening quickly. If the pressure is falling by 4 at every single intersection, then there's no way that this thing doesn't make it Cat 4. Pressure is 968 right now. Yeah, I think I saw that too. There was one of the it's not marked here, but I think one of the probes measured a 968 there, right next to the central area of low pressure. Do you recommend any weather programs that are high quality and under $25 a month? I really recommend this program. Let me show you this. Yeah. So this is Radar Omega. Currently, I'm using it as a satellite to get 3D imagery of the satellite of Hurricane Ida. But you can use this as a regular radar, and I believe it's just $8 in the App Store. You can get this on your phone, literally. You can get this on your phone. I don't know if you can get the 3D satellite data for that. Like, I personally pay so much a month for like an extended version of this. But I think you definitely get the satellite, maybe not the 3D version. You get the radar for just literally $8 on the App Store, and it's really worth it. And another cool thing about this app is if you're tracking storms, and let's say I'm storm chasing. By the way, if you guys didn't know, sometimes I actually go out and chase the storms. And when I do, you'll see my face, okay? You see all these little icons? These are like people who have weather stations at their house and people who are storm chasers. And, you know, let's say this guy, for example, is me. If you're tracking a storm, you can click on my face. You literally get a live camera feed of what's going on from my chasing vehicle, okay? So this is Mike Phelps. He's down here chasing the Hurricane Ida right now. You can see currently outside of his vehicle it's 83.8 degrees. The wind gust, this is off, okay? It's hard to it's hard to make up for that because he's driving down the road. It looks like he might be driving at around 80 miles an hour, or at least 72. But the wind gusts are a little off unless the vehicle is stationary. But you get to see all this information from his vehicle, and you will also be able to see that from mine as well. And look, you get a really nice live view of the camera, and that's awesome. It's something that you can't get on any other radar app as far as I'm concerned. And I really do recommend it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sponsored by them. They didn't pay me to say that. I just really like the app. But if you do download it, please send them an email. All right, send them an email, or if there's like a review on the App Store or something like that, and be like, Ryan Hall told me about it. Okay, one of these days we're gonna get a Radar Omega sponsorship. I promise you. But I need your all's help. Like, I wouldn't have bought that daggone app if it wasn't for that guy on YouTube. You already pay for his dinner or something. How far out can you see on that program? You can't really. This will show you, real-time data. I don't think you can look at forecast models on there, but you can see a lot in the past. Radar Omega is what it's called. Radar Omega. Ryan, what can we expect in Ocean Springs, Mississippi? I don't know where all these Mississippi towns are, guys. I got to look it up. Hold on. Ocean Springs, Mississippi. So you're in the portion of Mississippi that's likely going to experience possibly the 3 to 5 to maybe even a 6 or 7 foot storm surge, okay? So that's going to be the biggest problem for you. If you're right there on the coast, east of, east of Interstate 110 and south of Interstate 10 there's going to be some pretty good amounts of storm surge here, okay? Deer Island might be completely covered. All the way over here into the Davis Bayou area, Gulf Islands National Seashore, I would definitely be looking out for some massive storm surge over here. Now, you're not going to be seeing the 10 to 15 feet like areas to your west, but, 5 feet of storm surge can really do some work over here. So that's going to be the main threat for you. Now, the wind speeds, I think that the wind speeds that you're going to experience are at the very most 50 or 60 miles an hour with maybe some 70 to 80 mile an hour gusts, okay? You're going to be pretty far away from the wind field, and most of those really, really strong winds are going to be way off to your south and west. Brandon McKee, thank you for the very, very generous super chat. He says, thanks for streaming, Ryan. Can you talk about Theodore, Alabama, in the Mobile Bay area? Absolutely. So that's similar to what's going to happen over there near the Springs area. What was the place that I just looked at? Ocean Springs, Mississippi, okay? But it's even less intense. You're not going to see hardly any storm surge. We're talking about possibly 3 to 4 feet, maybe. Gillard Island might have some problems out here. But I do think that the biggest problem is going to be the minor storm surge, and then on top of that, the tornado threat is going to be a little bit elevated for you as this thing moves onto shore. Okay, so some of those feeder bands that are going to be moving through the Mobile, Alabama area likely will have embedded supercell thunderstorms that can cause some tornadoes. So I would watch out for that. Wind speeds, you're not going to see a lot of wind out of this, okay? Maybe some tropical storm force wind gusts for a brief period of time. But really, the storm surge, the rain, and then the possible tornadoes are going to be your biggest problems. Dana, thank you for the $5 super chat. Always wondered how storm chasers go down and survive these storms. How do you do that safely? I've seen some in feet of storm surge. Well, I've never done it before. I've went out on a lot of tornado chases. I've chased a lot of flash flood situations in the Appalachian Mountains, and I've done some snowstorm and blizzard chasing, but I've never done hurricane chasing before. So maybe tomorrow, if we have some free time, we'll ask our in-house chaser, Vince Welty, how he does it. I know that there's a lot of things you have to prepare for. These people bring gasoline, they bring rations, they bring food, they bring, they pretty much pretend like they're going to go be out in the wilderness on their own with no help from anybody for about a week, because a lot of times that's what happens. A lot of times these people will go out there, get themselves stranded in a storm surge situation, and they're just stuck there until the conditions improve. You got to make sure you have communications equipment and all kinds of stuff to be able to survive in your car. And that's what they do. And this guy that we're working with, Vince, I really recommend you guys following him on Facebook and YouTube and everything. He's really good at what he does, and he's always everywhere, man. I'm surprised he wasn't at the tornadoes today in Minnesota and then gunned it down to the hurricane in Louisiana, because he's always, he's probably travels like 10,000 miles a week, traveling to South Carolina for this storm, and then he'll go to Nebraska for another storm, New York for another storm. Today he's in Louisiana. So these guys, these full-time storm chasers, are absolutely. It's a tough job. It's a tough life, but they love it. And honestly, it's been my dream job for a long time. But I think that what I'm doing here is really beneficial. I think that there's no way that if I was storm chasing right now, that I would be able to talk about the weather in such an efficient way in front of 4,000 people. So I do storm chase. Usually I do it in May and June out here in the plains. But hurricane season, I'm going to be right here doing the weather live on the YouTube.
Oh, well, another day, another dollar. Yeah, buddy. I tell you.
We got a bunch of new members. Looky here. We've got Janet. I'm going to call you Jeanette Castro became a slight risk member. Oh, and then she upgraded her membership to a moderate risker and then to a high risker. I liked how you did that. You didn't just do it once. You made sure all 3 of the alerts popped up. Jeanette, thank you so much for the very, very generous contribution to the channel. I think you were the one that did the $100 super chat earlier, and now you are a high risk member of the channel. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you've noticed that people in the chat have lightning bolts next to their name, and they're using super unique and exclusive emotes in the chat to get my attention easier, it's because they are official members of the channel. And we have a link in the description, or you can just hit join next to the subscribe button if you want to monetarily support the channel. It's not required, but obviously it is appreciated.
Evening 627.
This is open repeater service KB5AVY.
Reading some of the chat here.
time is 6:30.
Been a while since I've done one of these long live streams.
August 28th.
Back in March, I did a 12-hour live stream covering the tornado outbreak in Mississippi and Alabama. And here we've just been here for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I'm already starting to feel the fatigue. I got to make sure that I'm ready with caffeinated drinks and all kinds of stuff tomorrow to keep me going for 15 hours. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll have to rely on that too much because it will be pretty active. We're constantly going to have new information to relay. So, yeah. Hello, Amy. Hello, Amy. Thanks for stopping by. Always love to see Amy. Amy Davis, drop in. One of the OG supporters of the channel from way back when. Guys, it wasn't very long ago that this channel didn't have tens of thousands of subscribers. In fact, it was just a couple of months ago. What was it, January? January when we hit 10,000 or 11,000? And now we're going on 70,000. Awesome. Thank you guys for all the support. Joshua Parks, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. Yeah, tomorrow's stream is going to be interesting. Unfortunately, I think it's also going to be sad at times. We're going to be, reporting all the storm reports live as they come in. We're going to be listening to amateur radio and public safety, communications. We're going to be having live interviews with people who are on the ground there in the hardest hit areas in southeastern Louisiana. And obviously, we're going to have, hurricane reconnaissance data. We're going to have a satellite radar, all the stuff that you see here. So it's going to be a very hectic day tomorrow. But I hope that it is informative for the people who are riding this out in southeastern Louisiana. Also, I hope that this is informative for all the people who have evacuated and want to keep up with what's going on in their hometowns. And of course, I know that there's a large portion of you that are just find this entertaining. And that's completely fine. If I wasn't doing this right now, and if I wasn't doing this, I would be watching this. I get it. It's the reason the Weather Channel exists. What's your prediction for Baton Rouge, LSU? I'm still expecting hurricane force winds to be happening over there, probably around 5 p.m. into the midnight hours. We might see some wind gust in excess of hurricane force near 90 or 100 mile an hour for a very brief period of time as this thing comes ashore. Now, Baton Rouge's biggest problem is going to be the flooding, okay? You're one of those people, one of those areas that can expect 15 inches of rain, and all that water that's trying to flow into the lake there near New Orleans and into the Gulf of Mexico and into the Mississippi River Delta won't be able to go there because of all the coastal flooding that's going on. So lots of flooding, lots of extreme wind, but you're not going to be the ones that see that 130, 140 mile an hour winds, okay? That really intense wind field is going to be down to your south. Closer to Morgan City, Houma. I hope I'm saying that right, Houma. If somebody lives there, please tell me how to pronounce that correctly, because I'm sure I'm going to have to say that a lot over the next little bit. Golden Meadow, Grand Isle, all of these places are likely going to see a wind gust, 140, 150 miles an hour. And the further north you are, the further away you are from the ocean, the better off you are. But I still think very bad flash flooding is going to happen over there in Baton Rouge. Joshua Parks, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, I am wondering what should Memphis be expecting. I know we won't get hard. I talked about Memphis not too long ago, and really the main threat up there is going to be rain, man. Like, it's going to rain pretty hard for a decent amount of time. You're expecting 4 to 6 inches of rain. There's going to be isolated flash flooding, but there's really not a lot else to that. Like the Memphis, I think you're going to be fine. But you should definitely expect some heavy rain. You're not even going to be on the side of the storm that's going to have all of the tornadoes and stuff. You're going to be on the back side. Okay, so a lot of heavy rain. And that's it. Welcome our new channel member. Thank you for the support, man. Catherine, Ryan, I sent Echo another package. Thank you so much. He's enjoying all your stuff. I'm going to have to send you a video of him opening something. You've been really supportive. Thank you. Get up with me. Send me your email. I'll send you a video of him enjoying some of the clothes that you've got and stuff. That's really fine. You don't have to do that, but that's awesome. Thank you. Donald, thank you for becoming a Slight Risk member. LaDonna, thank you for the very generous $10 super chat. Jeanette Castro has sent over 600 now. She rocks. Yes, she absolutely does. She's very appreciated. Amy Davis with the very generous $20 super chat. This is for your pizza and water tomorrow. I'm fed. So actually tomorrow, while I'm doing the super long live stream, Steph won't be here. My wife won't be here. So I am going to have to feed myself. Pizza sounds like the way to go. Here. Guys, thank you for all the support. Seriously, like, you don't have to do this. We've gained so many subscribers today.
Everyone, welcome our new channel member.
You know, I make it a mission to make sure that I personally shout out everybody that becomes a member and sends in a super chat, because I just think that's the right thing to do. But if you are somebody that can't do that or doesn't want to do that, don't think you're obligated to. Okay, all I ask is, if you think that this is useful information, if you think what I do here is valuable, just hit the like button and subscribe. That's free. Benjamin, thank you for becoming a Slight Risk member. I really, really appreciate it. Ryan Scott, thank you for the super chat. He says, could you nerd out for a second on what's currently hitting South Georgia? How it relates between the low pressure system to the north of Ida? Let me just double check what you're talking about. South Georgia. So you're talking about this, right? You're talking about this. Okay, yeah, I can nerd out for that about that for you. So this is the current satellite image of Hurricane Ida, okay? And by the way, it looks pretty angry to me. The last couple of frames there show a lot of new convection coming in. This is definitely increasing in strength as it goes to the north and west. But I want you to notice something here, okay? Everything's rotating counterclockwise around the center of circulation, but there is this big area of clockwise rotation out here around it. Okay, this is thanks to a sort of high pressure system that's allowing for some of this, outflow from the storm to exit this way. And that's one of the reasons why it's able to intensify so intensely. And that's one of the reasons why we thought that this thing would go a little bit slower, okay? That outflow can kind of come up here and dam up some of the atmosphere a little bit and make for that path clearing low pressure system. It makes it just a little bit harder for it to get through, but that's not really having an effect on it right now. But anyways, there's a little upper level low over here that's helping spin some of this moisture and energy out in front of the storm too. And basically what you're seeing here is the outflow, okay? This is the exhaust from the hurricane coming up into Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, and Alabama, and portions of Florida right now. Now, currently in southern Georgia, what's happening, the reason that you're seeing thunderstorms and not just general shower activity is because earlier today, thanks to Hurricane Ida, there was a little area of convection that popped up over here near Jacksonville, caused some big thunderstorms, and whenever thunderstorms happen, especially when they are all congealed together and they drop a lot of rain in one area, they cool the air off in front of them, okay? So got really hot, warm air, and then a thunderstorm pops up and it cools the air off in front of it. And then that wind and that cool air escapes from underneath the storm, moves forward, and then interacts with the warm air out in front of it and creates new thunderstorms. Cycle is repeated over and over again. So basically, and we call that an outflow boundary. So basically, an outflow boundary formed over here near Jacksonville and has been moving towards the west into the outflow from this hurricane. So lots of warm, moist air getting flung into this cooler outflow boundary, and that is working its way west there in southern Georgia and now moving into portions of Alabama. So hopefully that was nerdy enough for you. It's basically just an outflow boundary that's eating up all the convective energy that's being spit out by Hurricane Ida, which is actually a pretty interesting thing to look at. Update the chat here. It's being slow on me.
Everyone, welcome our new channel member.
Van Wilder, welcome to the club, man. Just became a Slight Risk member. You're awesome. Thank you. Look at all those lightning bolts. By the way, if you see the elusive red lightning bolt, okay, everybody that is a member of the channel, they get different lightning bolts. If you're here for a month, it's like yellow. If you're here for 3 months, it's a different color. But there are a couple people now that have red bolts and have been members now for 6 months. Michael, 20 minutes late, but here you go, man. He sent $4.20. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to have to prep some sandwiches. See what you got, Weatherman. You guys are fun. Marty with the $10 super chat. He says, hey, so are you against having a business sponsor you? My buddy wants to start a motorcycle dealership with me, and I'd like to sponsor you twice and get our name out. Same size as the rest on the truck. I appreciate the offer. I don't know. Email me about that. We might be able to work something out. I've never even considered doing that. It's the only reason. I'm not like against your business or anything. I don't know what that would look like. Will Evans, thank you so much. He says, say what's up for the boys at LSU. What's up to the boys at LSU? Do you think we should get as blackout as possible and canoe around my flooded neighborhood? No, I absolutely don't think you should do that. This is something to take seriously. And, a lot of times when floods happen, especially if they're not extremely severe in nature, the streets covered in water and you've got a canoe and you get out there and you try to play around in it and stuff. A lot of times you might be right next to an area that is extremely affected by the same flood, but they're just on a little bit of a lower plane than you, and there's swiftwater rescues and all this stuff that has to go on. And a lot of times you just end up in the way of the emergency management services out there that are trying to help people. And also it's just, you're putting yourself in harm's way for no reason. Dawn, thank you for becoming a high-risk member. Big time high risker out there. Thank you so much. K7CSX, ham radio buddy there with the $5 super chat. He says, here's 5 towards a mini fridge for that cold water. Appreciate it. I need me one right under the desk here. That way I don't even have to get up. Hey, Ryan, how's it looking for East Tennessee and Knoxville? East Tennessee is going to be affected by this storm, but not significantly, okay? Let me go back here and let's take a look at the weather models once again, because I'm pretty sure we've got some new people that are just now tuning in. So let me show you the forecast here for Eastern Tennessee, and we'll also talk about the impacts for the entire eastern seaboard here, pretty much, as Hurricane Ida is going to affect everybody pretty much. Weather models. There we go. Okay. So let me refresh here, make sure I got the latest data. This is Hurricane Ida as it makes its landfall there in Louisiana. We've talked enough about them today, so let's talk about places a little bit further inland, okay? What we're looking at here is the 850 millibar wind speeds. This is the lower level jet stream, and as you can see, we've got some 60 or 70 to possibly 80 knot wind speeds there. And then as this ejects off to the north and east, the southeastern quadrant of this storm has to be watched for the potential for tornadoes. Okay, so, we've got this trough, we've got this increased area of lower level jet stream. We've got some spin available in the atmosphere here because we do have those feeder bands feeding into Hurricane Ida as it moves up into the inner portion of the United States. And I do believe that if some of these storms, supercell storms, can become interactive with that lower level jet stream, we could see quite a few tornadoes in Alabama. And that's going to be around 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Now, that same area of concern is going to move into the Knoxville and Eastern Tennessee region probably around 11 p.m. on Tuesday. But it's a little bit weaker. It's not as widespread. So I would say that the biggest impact you're going to get out of this in Knoxville is maybe an isolated tornado or two, with also maybe some isolated.
We want to welcome our new channel member
here and there that are in excess of tropical storm force. But other than that, it's not going to be anything crazy for you, okay? The biggest impacts are going to happen south of this area, pretty much in this area right here. That's where the biggest impacts are going to be felt. So if you live anywhere north of that or east of that, tornadoes and flooding are going to be a problem, but it's nothing to really, really worry about. But I'm going to give you the full in-depth forecast no matter what, because that's what I'm here to do. Let's see here. Skull. Oh, my goodness. Skull says, hey, Ryan, what do you think Southwest Ohio is going to see? Will it be weakened enough to not have really high winds? Yes. So Southwest Ohio is probably not going to see much winds at all. Let me show you the wind gusts here. 18Z started to run. Let's go back to 12Z. So wind gusts are going to be, once again, 130, 140, 150 miles an hour as they come onto the shore here in Louisiana. But then they're going to go down to possibly around 110, 118 miles an hour. Southwestern Mississippi can experience maybe 96 mile an hour winds. We're still going to have some hurricane force wind gusts, maybe all the way up here in south central Mississippi. But very quickly, this thing turns into a big mess. And then southern Ohio, maybe 20, 30 mile an hour wind gusts is all you can see out of this as this moves through. Your biggest problem is going to be the rain, okay? Big time rainstorm for southern Ohio and northern and western portions of Kentucky with 4 to 6 inches of rain falling in a very short amount of time. Lots of flash flooding and river flooding is to be expected up there. Once again, though, the biggest threat for flooding is going to be down here in western Tennessee, not quite middle Tennessee, but western Tennessee and the entire state of Mississippi and extreme southeastern portions of Louisiana, where maybe 18 inches of rain is going to fall there, somewhere south of Baton Rouge and south and west of Louisiana. That's going to create catastrophic flooding. If you didn't evacuate because of the 140 mile an hour winds, you should have evacuated because of that 18 inches of rain, because that is going to cause very, very significant problems that you're not prepared for, I promise. 18 inches of rain on top of 15-foot storm surge, no thank you. Don't want to have anything to do with that. Sure I don't miss anything here. Back to radar view. Can I get a Snowtown, baby? Hey, there's another OG, Sean. That's our saying during snow season. Whenever we track snowstorms on the channel here live, it's a little bit different. It's definitely a lot of a different atmosphere than tracking hurricanes and tornadoes. We try to keep it serious when we talk about hurricanes and tornadoes, but for snowstorms, a lot of us are rooting for the snowstorm because a lot of us love storms. But yeah, Snowtown, baby. That's the old slogan for the channel there during winter season. Miss Washington, thank you for becoming a Slight Risk member. You are awesome. You're helping so much with your membership. Miss Washington also with the $10 super sticker. Thank you. And Lori Parsons with the $10 super sticker. Guys, thank you for all the support. But I think that it is almost time for me to call it a night. Almost time for me to call it a night, okay? I'm going to do one last little update here on the hurricane reconnaissance data, and then also the National Hurricane Center's update. Then we'll take one last really close in-depth look here at the satellite imagery. And that's going to be it for me. I got to get some rest. It's looking like I might have to start my live stream tomorrow much earlier than anticipated because of how fast this thing's moving. Give me just a second. By the way, we just got a new tornado warning for Brown and Nicollet counties in Minnesota until 7:15 Central. Yeah, so the latest reconnaissance data tells me that this storm is now a 960 millibar storm. That is not good. That is not good. This storm is rapidly intensifying. And it's going towards Category 3 if it hasn't already. Both the HWRF and HMOM models are still predicting a Cat 4 landfall. So, as fast as this thing's moving, it's still not giving us a break. Cat 4 storm is going to be catastrophic. I hope everybody evacuated. Hold on, I'm just looking through some new data here. Yeah, I really hope everybody evacuated because, like I said, it's about too late now. That's another thing. A lot of people yesterday probably thought that they had more time to evacuate because of the later landfall that was expected. But speeding up. Let's take a look at the storm surge here real quick. This is from the National Hurricane Center. Storm surge around 10 to 15 feet between Morgan City and the mouth of the Mississippi River. Okay, that's the number one place that you know, if there's anybody down there that's still there, Lord help them. We're still expecting 5 to 8 feet up here in Lake Pontchartrain. 7 to 11 feet out here in front of the levee systems. That's why we got those mandatory evacuations underway there. 4 to 7 feet over here in Ocean Springs. So I misspoke a little bit. I think I said like 5 to 6 feet earlier. So 4 to 7 feet is possible. Then all the way up here in Mobile Bay, 2 to 4 feet. So that's not going to be too bad at all. And then remember, on this side of the storm, you're likely going to see the lower end of these forecasted storm surges, because you're on the downward side of the storm. That is so true. I completely forgot about the landfall countdown being set for 8 p.m. on Sunday. Thank you, Justin, for that suggestion. So if you see above me, we've got the Hurricane Ida landfall countdown. It's currently saying 1 day and 5 minutes. We're almost getting into the 24-hour period. But I set that up yesterday when we were thinking that it was going to make landfall at 8 p.m. So I do have to change that, and I will definitely change that before tomorrow's stream starts. Thank you for that. The latest hurricane advisory says the Ida is still forecast to strengthen rapidly before landfall. Life-threatening a storm surge, potentially catastrophic wind damage, and flooding rainfall are expected to impact the northern Gulf Coast. Still haven't seen necessarily a solid update from the reconnaissance team that just went in, the Mission 11. I have family in Orlando and Hilton Head. Will they be okay? Absolutely. Yeah, this isn't going to affect them hardly at all. Power outage predictions for Baton Rouge, Utah predictions. I don't know much about Utah right now. I haven't been looking at the weather patterns over there much, but Baton Rouge almost certainly will experience widespread power outages. Get those 20 inches of rain on top of 110 mile an hour wind gusts. You're definitely going to get some down trees and power lines and stuff. How much is Long Island going to get from the remnants? You could see, 3 to 4 inches of rain easily from the remnants of this storm. Flooding is possibly going to be a thing down there that we have to deal with. Got brand new convective hot towers going up in the middle of Hurricane Ida. This thing is going to be a monster in the morning. I kind of dread waking up and looking at it. It's going to be crazy. But I'm telling you, man, it's gotten so much closer to the coast just during this stream. Look at that. Man, look how big it is. NOAA 42 just completed a microphysical spiral where they spiral up to measure Ida's mixed phase region with onboard probes. The plane can't stay up there due to aircraft icing. These spirals can give a vertical profile to better understand the ice process in hurricanes. Can we see that on Mission 10? Oh, yeah, look at this. So here's our live reconnaissance data. And they just did a big loop-de-loop. What'd that guy call it? A micro-physical spiral. So yeah, they're going up with altitude as they drop their probes into the storm. And once they get up to the top, they have to immediately come back down in the reverse fashion due to the fact that they can't stay up that high that long. I'm still waiting for them to cross the center of circulation again. Once they get right here, they should be able to tell us once again how low the pressure is. Still haven't gotten an official. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We just got an official update from the National Hurricane Center. I was waiting on this. That's why I haven't ended the stream yet. But let's check this out. Okay, so this is the latest 7 p.m. Central Time intermediate advisory from the National Hurricane Center. This is on Hurricane Ida, and now they still say that we've got 105 mile an hour winds. 105 miles an hour winds. I don't know if I believe that or not. I honestly think that we have to be seeing some stronger winds, especially since the low pressure has deepened so much in such a short amount of time. But you got to remember that it's been a while since that plane has been there towards the center of circulation. So with the data that we have, we can interpret that 105 mile an hour winds is what we still got with the storm, making it still a Category 2 storm. And it's still moving towards the northwest at 16 miles an hour, which means it's not slowing down at all. It's still forecasted to become a major hurricane here and then make landfall as a major hurricane around 1 p.m. on Sunday, according to the National Hurricane Center. And then it'll continue towards Baton Rouge and northern areas of northeastern Louisiana as a hurricane. And then weaken down to a tropical storm right on the border of Louisiana and Mississippi, and then a tropical depression. Then it's going to be out of here by Friday. But yeah, that's a 105 mile an hour winds right now. Very dangerous storm, but it could be a lot worse. Let's hope that it does not that it does not strengthen too much. We might actually end up, it's possible that we might end up with a Category 3 landfall, which would be a Hail Mary with a system like this. It would be a saving grace. It would be a miracle almost because of how likely it was for this storm to, increase in strength. I'm not saying that we're going to see a Category 3. I still think that there's a very good chance we see a devastating Category 4, possibly still even a Category 5, but that Category 5 likelihood continues to dwindle the further we get into the future without this thing becoming a Category 3. So let me look at one more thing. Go to the web browser here. Back to Hurricane Ida. Hurricane Ida. Go to the interactive map. So as you can see, hurricane warnings are in place across the entire coast of Louisiana pretty much. So yeah, they are still expecting this to make landfall as a Category 4 storm. Or a high-end Category 3, right in that region with wind gusts up to 160 miles an hour. It's absolutely insane to me that it's going to intensify that much in that short of a distance. But I believe it, because right now, Hurricane Ida is passing over one of the warmest and deepest areas of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's sucking up all the moisture. You can see all those explosions that are happening right around the center there. Those aren't explosions. Those are thunderstorms going up. That's going to continue to happen as we go later on into the night. If this thing slows down any at all before it gets to Louisiana, going to be a bad situation. If it keeps going at the same speed, it's still going to be a bad situation, but I think we would have dodged a bullet compared to what could have happened. Over here to Radar Omega, you can see those big convective towers popping up there. I want to show you one more different view of this. A little bit of a higher definition view, I believe. This looks more like a traditional hurricane. You can see the sun is setting, so we're losing the light on it. This is the visible satellite, but you can see right there before sunset, all those explosions that happen towards the center of the storm, that is new convection, and it's a sign of rapid intensification. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. All the support today has been overwhelming. The channel has gained a lot of support, a lot of subscribers, a lot of new channel members, and I don't know how to thank you guys. I always do this at the end of the stream. I know a lot of you don't care, but for those of you who do, we now have 65,849 subscribers, meaning that we gained about 1,000, a little over 1,000 subscribers during this live stream today. So welcome to all the new people. Welcome to all the new people. Thank you for being here. Also, thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody who liked this video, who shared it on Facebook, everybody who helped to do anything at all to put this thing higher into the algorithm. Over 100,000 people saw this stream today. 100,000 people got vital information that they may have not otherwise have got if it weren't for you. So thank you guys. Thank you for pushing the channel to the limits and for pushing it out there to YouTube. Literally 100,000 people got to see this. There's probably some news networks that don't get that sort of viewership. And like, it's not my fault, it's yours. You guys are the ones out there sharing it, getting it out there. So that's huge. This video, or this stream, I should say. Give me just a second. Just a second. The stream has 4,000 likes. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, go ahead and smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you like what we do. Oh, look, we are currently at 65,922 subscribers. Before I end this stream, we got to hit 66,000. Come on. We're at 922. I'm refreshing the page, 926. If you've been on the verge of hitting that subscribe button, just hit it. Go ahead and hit it. I only need 70-something of you to hit it so we can hit that 66,000. The more subscribers we have today, the more impact we will have tomorrow when we do this live stream that is actually going to be documenting the landfalling event of Hurricane Ida. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, go ahead and hit it. Hopefully we hit that 66,000 number before we end the stream. And yeah, once again, big, huge shout out to all of our new channel members. I am going to end the stream here in a second. I'm just trying to stretch it out to where we can hit that subscriber goal. We gained a lot of new members today. Donald, DJ, Feral Dragon, Jeanette Castro, Joshua Little, LaDonna, Miss Washington, Charlie, Rob the Jobber, Bill Fisher, Benjamin, The Random Explorer, Devin Proctor, Michael S., Susan, Dawn, Van Wilder, Michael, Brandon, Poot, Michelle Rizzo, Howard, Richard, and Rosemary, High Street Radio Cafe. Guys, thank you so much for joining the channel. We do members-only exclusive live streams, too, every once in a while. That's really fun, so you'll have access to that. Oh, and we did it. We just hit 66,000 subscribers. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow is the big day. starting early. I don't know exactly what time I'm going to be starting, but that's why you should have notifications on and be subscribed so that you know. But more than likely, tomorrow's stream will be 12 hours long or longer. So I got to go to sleep and get ready for that. Follow me on Twitter, @RyanHall, y'all. Become a member of the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.